A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This is Scotland Yard.
For the first time in history, Scotland Yard opens its official files to bring you the authentic, true stories of some of its most baffling cases.
These are the true stories, the unvarnished facts just as they occurred, reenacted for you by an all-British cast. Only the names of the participants have for obvious reasons been changed. The stories are presented with the full cooperation of Scotland Yard.
Research on Whitehall 1212 is prepared by Percy Hoskins, chief crime reporter of the London Daily Express. The stories for radio are written and directed by Willis Cooper. Here to brief you on Scotland Yard file number 1098002 is Chief Superintendent John Davidson.
Here in the Black Museum of Scotland Yard, we have only one memento of case number 1098002, but it is a notable one. This is a bottle, alas only partly full now, of one of the finest unblended pot-stilled Scotch whisky that mortal man has ever tasted. I say its name with the proper respect. Its label says Dew of Glenlivet. Only 3 or 4 drinks remain in it, but I expect that wee drop is quite safe. A, the bottle is sealed, and B, I doubt that there exists any Englishman who would care to drink after the man who last owned it. No, it's not poisoned in the conventional sense. But this Dew of Glenlivet helped to poison a man's mind. It's a shame that such an excellent product should even once be put to such an end by such people as those who gave it to the man who last owned it. Don't you agree, Commander Leonard?
I find myself speechless at such sacrilege, John.
This is Commander Leonard, head of the famous special branch of the CID at Scotland Yard.
I may say that the late owner of the bottle was a greater criminal than appears on his record.
Well, how so, Commander? I thought...
He diluted that noble whiskey with ginger ale, John. The city of Ottawa, in Canada, is often thought of as an American city, which of course it is. But it is also the capital city of the Dominion of Canada, and as such, a very important part of the British Commonwealth of Nations. I take you back now to September of the year 1945 in Ottawa. In the Royal Canadian Mounted Police headquarters there, early in that month, Inspector John Miller of the RCMP was speaking on the telephone with a representative of the Canadian Ministry of Justice.
Who's it speaking, please?
This is Mr. Dufresne, sir. And may I ask to whom I'm speaking?
Inspector Miller, RCMP.
How do you do, Inspector?
Well, that's not important. What I want to know is, do you know a man named Igor Kovenko?
I do, sir. May I ask why, please?
Well, he's here in my office, mister.
I must warn you about him, Inspector. He's a dangerous man.
He says he was in to see you this afternoon.
That is true, sir. He is a very dangerous...
Dangerous my foot.
I beg your pardon.
I said dangerous my foot. Sitting here scared to death.
Scared, sir? I must say I can hardly believe that.
He says he walked out of the code room of the Russian embassy this afternoon, where he's been employed, with some highly secret documents. He says he brought these documents to the Ministry of Justice and was told to go home and stop bothering you. Is that true?
We hardly put it in those exact terms, my dear man, but...
Did you throw him out?
We told him we could engage in no negotiations whatever with a representative of a foreign power with whom the British government are not at war, sir.
You didn't look at any of the documents he smuggled out of the Soviet embassy code room?
Naturally not, sir.
You didn't know he was fed up with communism?
We did not believe him, sir. I say, look here...
You didn't believe he wanted to aid the British government?
Look here, Inspector...
You turned down information that might be of the utmost importance to Britain and Canada.
We believed him to be an extraordinarily clumsy spy, sir.
Well, he isn't.
Why say?
I said he isn't.
And may I ask how you know that, Inspector?
You may, sir.
Uh-huh.
Mister, half hour ago, a squad of Russian thugs, led by the chief security officer of the Soviet embassy in person, broke into Kovenko's apartment, armed with pistols and Tommy guns.
Are you joking, sir?
I am not. This was an official search party. They were going to take Kovenko and his whole family away with them, or murder them if necessary. Fortunately, he was able to get through to the RCMP, and we took care of the matter, sir.
What did you do, Inspector?
We spanked a lot of Russian behinds. We brought Kovenko and his family, including the children here, to the station for protection. I think you'd better get over here in the morning real early before the Ruskies get here with a writ of habeas corpus. Because from what they said, there's some very interesting plans for the Kovenko family.
I must report this to my chief, Inspector.
Yeah, do that. And tell him to hire a Russian translator if these papers he swiped are what he says they are.
I'll telephone my chief at once, sir. And thank you very much for calling, sir. Good night.
Bureaucrats.
Igor Kovenko, the code clerk, had not only taken copies of secret documents with him, he had also a copy of the Soviet embassy's most confidential code book itself. The documents, accordingly broken into plain Russian and translated into English, were startling. This is a paraphrase of the contents of one of them.
Facts given by Alec.
Excuse me. I should explain that the name Alec proved to be the Russians' identification name for the man who had betrayed British secrets to them. Go on, please.
Facts given by Alec include specific information about the atom bomb dropped on Hiroshima in August. He also states that the amount of uranium-233 at the Clinton magnetic separation plant in Canada is 400 grams daily.
Another.
Alec handed over to us a platinum container with 162 micrograms of uranium-233 in oxide form. He will keep us advised of further developments in the production of the atom bomb.
Another.
I enclosed data on the American proximity shell for anti-aircraft, supplied to us by Alec.
There are several others, only one of which I can even now reveal to you. That I will give you presently. All these messages were addressed to the director and signed by Colonel Vladimir Rabukhin, the Soviet military attaché in Ottawa. I was summoned to the Foreign Office a few days before the 1st of October, shown the translations, and told the whole story as it was cabled from Ottawa. The special branch, of which I was then the head, was to take over. Take over what, I asked. Isn't all this taking place in Canada? A very important gentleman in the then British government showed me another of the documents. I promised you I'd tell you about that one, if you please.
To Colonel Rabukhin, Ottawa. Work out and send by courier all arrangements for the meeting.
What meeting, I asked?
And the password by which our representative will recognize Alec when he comes to London. Most necessary for him to come to London at once. Signed, Director.
He's coming here, I said?
To the Director. Alec will meet our representative in front of the British Museum during month of October. Time, 11 o'clock in the evening. Identification for Alec, a copy of a newspaper rolled up.
That's all I said? He read me another one.
To Colonel Rabukhin, Ottawa. Here are revised instructions for Alec. Meeting place in front of British Museum in London on Great Russell Street, opposite side of street about Museum Street from side of Tottenham Court Road. Alec to walk from Tottenham Court Road, our contact man from opposite side, Southampton Row. Time near 8 o'clock in the evening, if practicable. Identification signs. Alec to carry under left arm the newspaper Times. Our man to have in left hand the magazine Picture Post. Password. Contact man, quote, what is the shortest way to the Strand? Alec, quote, come along, I'm going that way. At beginning of business conversation, Alec to say, best regards from Mikhail. Report and transmission of details to Alec, also date of arrival in London. Most urgent, signed, Director.
Must be rather serious if he's coming over here.
It is, Commander. I can only say this, that he will be bringing with him secret information of the utmost importance. Information of such importance that it cannot be committed to paper. I think I may also say this to you. The future existence of the British Commonwealth cannot be guaranteed if this information falls in the Russian hands.
Then our job is to arrest this man, Alec, before he can make his contact.
It's imperative that you do so.
Tell me, what's his real name and when is he coming?
The message I've just read you is 3 months old, Commander. In that time, 14 persons concerned with atomic research in Canada have arrived in Britain from there.
Yes, sir.
Any one of those 14 may be Alec. We haven't the remotest suspicion of his identity, nor of the contact man. Neither have we any hint of the time the contact is to be made. The very life of our nation is at stake, sir. We must depend on you.
MI5, the counterintelligence branch of military intelligence, placed dozens of their own men at our disposal. Together with the operatives of Special Branch, we were able to place in the field a quite imposing force of men and women. And there was plenty of work for all. To find an unknown man on an unknown date in a place where thousands of innocent people were passing. And with the urgency of the Commonwealth's danger to spur us on, a task as near to impossibility as one would care to mention, I'm afraid. The obvious thing was first to screen the 14 men from the atomic research project in Canada who'd returned to England in the 3 months since the message to the director was sent. We found them one by one. I spoke to the first on the list, Mr. Frederick Giles, an Englishman, in his laboratory.
Yes, I rather liked Canada. Glad I didn't have to stay the winter there, though. It gets frightfully cold.
Were you in Quebec? Marvelous city, I understand. Medieval sort of place, isn't it?
No, I never got there.
I have a friend in Ottawa, Winco, in the Air Ministry there. Chap named Norman Helfrich. Wonder if you ever met him.
No, I was never there either. Lots of chaps were, but not I. They kept me at Clinton all the time I was there. The magnetic separation plant, you know. I was supposed to be an expert on a rather secret sort of isotope, you see. Never got anywhere. Quite dull, really.
We checked Giles. Records showed he'd never been away from Clinton, as he said. No opportunity for him to contact any foreigners. He's in the clear, subject to further checks. Next man, Herr Professor Dr. Hannes Fischbein, a former German scientist who'd also worked in Canada.
Also, I in Canada was 4 days only. I am fly to Montreal. I make my report. I am fed. A large dinner, colossal. And in my hotel room, they lock me up and stand a policeman with a red coat outside the door. More dinners I am fed. And then comes the man, and I am back to England flight. Better I should have here geblieben sein. Canada is to me a street outside a hotel window. But I did eat. Oh, wunderbar.
Check off Hannes Fischbein. Word came to us from the Foreign Office.
3 new arrivals from Canada Atomic Research Project. Alec may be one of these. Please report progress.
Checking of the arrivals from Canada went on. Mathematics professor John M. Dodds, assigned from Ottawa to King's College, Strand, London.
Yes, I've heard that the Russians are very active in Canada. I knew a Russian girl, Vilma Semyonova.
What happened to her, Professor Dodds?
I married her. She's now a Canadian citizen.
Where is she?
Oh, she came back with me from Canada. She's here in London.
Assign a woman detective to check on Vilma Semyonova Dodds. Lawrence Mackay. Lawrence Mackay traveled alone by a government airplane from Ottawa to London. Lawrence Mackay is the 6-year-old son of a Scottish nuclear physicist who was killed with his wife in a Canadian motor accident. Check off Lawrence Mackay. Georg Hasselblad.
Georg Hasselblad, native of Denmark, in the employ of the atomic project at Montreal. Returned direct to Olberg, Denmark. In England, only 3 hours.
Check Hasselblad off. James Nicholas McGee, junior mathematician.
Died at his home in Belfast 2 days after returning from Canada.
Check off McGee. Professor Duncan M. Allen, a senior member of the Nuclear Project Division of Imperial Chemicals Industries, and a university reader. In Canada since 1943, just returned as a senior in the Nuclear Projects Division. Some hope at last. Here was a highly responsible man with long experience in Canada. His advice on who might be Alec should be helpful. Since he was next on the list, I called on him. He was not of much assistance.
How should I know, my dear sir? I'm a scientist. You're a detective.
I thought in view of your long residence in Canada, you might be able to give us some hints.
I can't. I was much too busy to add spying to my duties.
You knew all of these people, though?
I probably did, but I'm sure I don't remember most of them. I worked with some of them. I remember this child, Leslie McKay's son. Oh, I was sorry about Leslie and his wife.
How about some of the others? This German, Fishbein, he was a former enemy.
Remember the name, didn't know the man.
Dr. Dodds.
I heard he married a Russian girl, didn't know him.
Giles?
Short, fat chap, that's all I know.
You were in Ottawa?
Yes, but I was busy.
I'm sure you're aware, sir, that I shouldn't be asking you questions unless this were a most important matter.
What's up? Someone run off with some U-233?
As a matter of fact, that's part of it. But not all, I'm sorry to say.
Now, look here, are you serious? If any U-233 had been missing, I should have known about it.
You knew of none being missing?
I did not, nor do I know now, sir.
That's odd, Dr. Allen. We have what we consider excellent information. Let me see. 162 micrograms of uranium-233 were missing.
Your information is quite erroneous, I can assure you, sir. Part of my duties included keeping an extremely close check on the amounts of fissionable material on hand. In fact, I was responsible for it. And if I say that none is missing, then you may rest assured that none is.
Our authority is unimpeachable.
Your authority is a liar.
Well, I expect you ought to know.
Who gave you this cock and bull story?
I'm sorry, that I cannot tell you.
Well, send him to me, and I'll set him and you straight at once, sir.
I'm afraid we can't do that, sir. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Allen. If you should happen to remember anything, any name...
Young man, I have mathematical formulae to remember that would shatter the brains of all Scotland Yard combined. I'm afraid I'm not going to be of any assistance to you whatever.
By the way, Doctor, do you happen to remember anyone out there named Alec?
Yes, of course.
May I ask who, sir?
Sergeant Alec MacDonnell. The MacDonnells of Hickock, not of Calgary. He was always at pains to inform me. He was the absurd Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman who was assigned as my bodyguard in that godforsaken place.
And where is he now, sir?
So far as I know, my dear sir, he's never left Canada. But he has promised to visit me here in London on his next leave, if you'd like to meet him then.
The Foreign Office was on us every minute, demanding results. Every known Russian national in London was being watched, but not a known Russian could be discovered anywhere in the vicinity of the British Museum, the rendezvous named in the dispatch the Ottawa code clerk had given us. I wondered briefly if we'd not been made the victims of a hoax. Dr. Allen, who certainly ought to know, I said to the Foreign Office, was certain that no uranium-233 was missing.
It is quite possible the stuff was taken without the knowledge. My dear Commander, after all, we are not dealing with children, you know.
Dr. Allen was quite positive, sir.
I'll send a signal to Canada asking them if they can account for it. Their records will certainly show any discrepancy.
Quite true, sir. But if they say none is missing...
We'll discuss that when we know for certain, Commander.
Yes, sir.
You have no results to show, I take it?
None whatever, sir. I'm sorry.
We have expected more, sir, from the Special Branch.
I left the Foreign Office in remarkably low spirits. The Special Branch have always prided themselves on taking difficult assignments in stride. But this one... The age of miracles is past, I reflected, as I walked into my own office at Scotland Yard. Put me through to Fred Ibbott, my chief clerk, please. Thank you. Fred, Commander Leonard here. I want this done at once. Get to all the people who are checking on the various Canadian visitors and have them supply you with as many photographs as they can get of the various ones they've checked on. No, I should think these people, if they're the proper kind, should be glad to let us have them. Yes, quite. Then send them by airplane to headquarters of the RCMP in Ottawa with instructions to let the code clerk, the Russian who skipped out. What's his name? Kovenko, that's right. Let him see all these photographs and tell us if he recognizes any of them as people he may have seen round the Russian embassy. No, they all seem to be clear, but he might just remember seeing one sometime or another. What? Yes, it may help us find Alec, I hope. Thank you, Fred. Yes, at once, please. I left the office, still deep in thought. Bought a newspaper and started walking. What can we do now, I thought. Begin checking everyone again. Does Alec really exist? I glanced up. Where had I got to in my daydreaming? There was the British Museum.
Excuse me. What's the shortest way to the stand?
Back that way to High Holborn. First turn to your left down Kingsway and... Wait!
Oh, excuse me. You're not Alec.
And before I could do more than goggle at her, the young woman carrying a copy of the picture post had turned and vanished into the crowd on Great Russell Street. I pulled my Times from under my left arm and flung it away and was properly reprimanded by a constable. But the contact man was gone. Would you mind kicking me, Constable? I said to the officer. Funny, wasn't it? 1 week and 2 days later, the bloated body of what had been a young woman was pulled from the Thames just below Wapping Old Stairs by men of T Division of the Metropolitan Police. She was thought to be a former employee of the Russian embassy, but none of the embassy staff could identify her. The morning after my contretemps in Great Russell Street, I called again on Dr. Allen, the senior scientist who had assured me that I was wrong about the missing uranium.
I'm very sorry, Commander. I have a lecture to give at King's College in half an hour. I've no time to talk to you.
I think you will find it of great importance, sir.
And moreover, I have given you definitive answers to the rather idiotic questions you've already asked me.
I must tell you, Doctor, that this matter seriously and urgently concerns our national security.
I'm sorry, but as I told you,
I'm sorry, too, Doctor, but I'm afraid you'll have to answer my questions.
Now, see here.
I'd just like to say this, Dr. Allen, but I must point out that I have sufficient authority to compel you to answer my questions. I hope I shall not be forced to use it.
Are you impugning my integrity, sir?
I'm merely pointing out that the matter is one of the utmost urgency, sir.
Young man, I've exactly 15 minutes before I must leave for my lecture.
I told him what we knew. I told him of the dispatches we'd gained possession of.
Were any names mentioned in this message, Commander? Any that could be recognized?
No, I told him. Only Alec. And I told him what had happened to me the day before. He chuckled heartily. I reminded him with some asperity of the seriousness of the situation. He sobered at once.
I agree with your man at the Foreign Office, whom you so pointedly avoid identifying, that this Alec, whoever he is in possession of information which, if obtained by a hostile nation, might easily spell destruction for the British Commonwealth, Commander.
I reminded him that Alec must obviously be someone who possessed a great knowledge of the progress of nuclear fission research.
That's true. That's a very good deduction, Commander. He's obviously an important person.
I asked him if he had the faintest suspicion of who he might be.
That I'll have to think about.
Here is a list of the arrivals from Canada. Is there any name on this list who could conceivably answer such a description, I asked. He scanned it rapidly.
No one except myself?
Perhaps he hasn't got here yet, I said.
I think he has. Else why were you accosted with a password yesterday and even addressed as Alec?
You're right, sir. He is here.
And then, Commander, I see only one thing for you to do.
What's that, sir?
Find him if you can.
Well, sir...
I assure you the most frighteningly immediate end of this nation of yours is inevitable if you do not find Alec before these secrets are turned over to Russia. I say it's inevitable, sir, because I, too, know what they are. I will talk with you again, but my present job is also of importance in the national security. Shall we say tomorrow, then?
I returned to Scotland Yard, to my office. There was an urgent note on my desk. It read, "Call RCMP headquarters in Ottawa, Canada, at once. Inspector Miller. Highest priority, immediate action," and several other words whose meaning was quite as clear. I put through the call. "I want Inspector Mill..." "Yes, Ottawa, Canada. This is Commander Leonard at Scott..."
"Hello, Miller here. That you, Commander Leonard?"
Yes, this is Commander Leonard.
Hello. Is that Commander Leonard?
Yes, this is Leonard Miller. This is Leonard.
That Leonard?
Yes.
This is Inspector Miller in Ottawa. How's the weather there in London?
What? It's all right. What did you want?
Oh, yes, it's raining here. Cold. Probably turned to snow.
What did you want of me?
Oh, yes. Well, your pictures got here. Photographs of those people.
Yes.
Well, we showed them to the code clerk fella, this Kovenko. He recognized only one of them. Used to see about the Russian embassy several times, he said.
Which one?
Well, you say?
I said which one?
Oh. Well, you didn't put any names on them, just those numbers. You recognize the one marked number 4.
What?
4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4?
You got it? Number 4. I don't know what the fellow's name is, but it's number 4.
All right, thank you.
Who is he, you know?
I haven't got the list here. I'll have to let you know. But thanks, old boy. I think we've got Alec.
What do you say?
Goodbye. I identified him all right. It was mid-afternoon before I could reach Dr. Allen with the news, which I was impatient to check with him before reporting to the Foreign Office. I got him on the telephone and rushed to his flat at once.
So you think you've got him, eh? Well, tell me about it. How did you discover? Are you sure?
I'm reasonably sure, sir. He's the only one of the whole list who'd ever been seen around the Soviet embassy.
Who is he?
He's the only one who could possibly be Alec, sir.
Well, before you tell me, let's have a drink, shall we? I seldom indulge, but I've got a very fine bottle of Dew of Glenlivet here. Here it is. I expect you'll have it neat, won't you? Don't think I'm a barbarian, I know, but I always mix mine with ginger ale. Here, help yourself.
No.
What's that?
I will not drink with you, sir.
What's the matter?
I have one more question to ask you, Dr. Allen.
Go ahead.
The number 4 man on the list whom I checked on is the one they identified. Do you know who he is?
I'm afraid not, Commander.
I'm afraid then I'll have to ask you one more question, sir. What is the shortest way to the Strand?
Well, come along. I'm going that way.
I think not, Alec. I arrest you on the charge of violating the Official Secrets Act. And I must warn you that anything you say will be taken down and may be used in evidence. Yes. It was Dr. Allen himself whom the code clerk recognized as having been a frequent visitor to the Soviet embassy in Ottawa. Dr. Allen testified at the Old Bailey at his trial that he was opposed to any program that did not share the secrets of nuclear fission with all nations equally. It is not clear what his reasons were for sharing with the Russians not only what secret information he possessed about the atom bomb and its construction, but also the secret details of the proximity fuse and several other top-secret weapons of war. Here is one line of his testimony that will interest you.
Yes. I received in exchange for this information a small amount of dollars. I don't remember exactly how many. Oh, yes. And they also gave me a bottle of what I was told was very excellent whiskey. I'm afraid I still don't see, Commander Leonard, why you would not drink with me.
For his treasonous exploits, Dr. Duncan M. Allen, the nuclear physics senior, received a sentence of 10 years penal servitude. It was never proved that Dr. Allen was ever a communist, but it is certain that he is a secure prisoner.
You have heard another in the series Whitehall 1212, compiled from the official files of Scotland Yard. Research on Whitehall 1212 is prepared by Percy Hoskins of the London Daily Express. The stories for radio are written and directed by Willis Cooper. Three chimes mean good times on NBC.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now, the Whistler's strange story, The Prosecutor.
The courtroom was tense now. Assistant District Attorney Philip Graham was beginning to summarize for the prosecution. In the case of the People versus Thomas Anderson, the thrill of success was in his speech as he moved in for the kill.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in addition to the fact that circumstance links the defendant irrevocably to the killing, he still persists in his refusal to testify. Still offers no explanation as to his whereabouts on the night in question, solely on the basis of possible self-incrimination.
And you were right, weren't you, Philip? Less than 10 minutes after the jury retired, they walked back in with a verdict you knew was coming. And Tom Anderson was on his way to the cell in condemned row. But that wasn't all, Philip. No, far from it. Most important was what your colleagues were saying as they clustered around you.
Well, this will put you to the top of the heap, Phil. You'll have that mahogany desk, old man, in the Hall of Justice.
And there'll be a brass nameplate, Philip B. Graham, District Attorney.
You bet you. With this conviction, you can't miss.
And they were right, weren't they, Philip? The voters made it official 2 weeks later. And only you know what kind of a job you really did. Yes, it isn't easy to convict a man when you know in your heart that he's completely innocent. But you're not thinking about that at the victory celebration. There's too much else going on. Congratulations, backslapping, important people. And above all, a beautiful brown-haired girl with clear blue eyes and a quick, easy smile.
I didn't quite get that name.
Corinne Scott. Oh, Mr. Graham, how wonderful to actually meet you.
Oh, not at all. The pleasure's mine.
I know you've heard it many times, Mr. Graham, but, well, I thought you were magnificent at the Anderson trial.
I was only doing my job.
A public prosecutor. My, it's almost like playing fate.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
I mean, the idea of holding the fate of a fellow human being in the palm of your hand. It's a little frightening. It's such a responsibility.
Yes, it is a responsibility. Of course, we make pretty certain of our facts before we step into a courtroom and start making accusations.
Of course you do.
Old American custom, you know, a man is innocent until proven guilty.
But just think, Mr. Graham, in this case, the jury was about to let that killer go free. Why, if it hadn't been for you...
Yes, I had a feeling about Tommy Anderson from the very beginning.
It must have been a very hard fight.
It wasn't easy. Of course, if a man knows what he's doing and...
And where he's going.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess I admire ambitious men, Mr. Graham. I admire them very much.
Thank you, Miss Scott.
I probably shouldn't say this, but...
Please do.
Well, I think this is a silly way to celebrate anything so important as becoming district attorney. A stuffy reception and a lot of politicians. Now, if I were running things...
Yes?
I'd get rid of the politicians. I'd reserve a table for two at a little restaurant I know, where the steaks are heavenly and there's vintage wines, crepe Suzette.
And champagne?
There's Clicquot 1940, no less. How does it sound?
You're a pretty good salesman.
Well, that's all. That's what I do.
And when would you do?
Oh, tomorrow night, perhaps. Say about 9.
You know I'm a married man, of course.
What's that got to do with the victory celebration?
Well, if that's the way you look at it.
9 o'clock tomorrow night.
All right, Miss Scott.
Well, Philip, you know it's a foolish thing to do. But there's something in the way she looks up at you and smiles that makes it all sound very reasonable. And you forget about everything else. Your wife, your son David in medical school, his good friend, Professor Bentley, who thinks you're the greatest man who ever lived. At 8:15 the following night, you're standing before the mirror in your bedroom, adjusting your tie. Corinne is lovely, isn't she? And as you put on your dinner jacket, you're thinking of the soft light in the music.
Oh, there you are, Dad. Here he is, Professor. Almost gave you up, Dad. Thought you weren't coming.
Hello, son.
got the culprit at last. I told you he wouldn't walk out on us, Dave.
Hurry up, Dad. We're a half hour late as it is.
Well, what do you mean we're late?
Say, what's the idea of the dinner jacket, Mr. Graham?
Yeah, there's nothing formal
Well,
about
wait a
this.
minute. What's this all about?
Huh?
You going somewhere?
Are we going somewhere?
Dad, you didn't forget.
Well, forget what?
Tonight, you promised you'd go.
I promised I'd go where?
Don't you remember? The faculty's having a father and son night. Professor Bentley's in charge.
Good Lord, I did forget.
Oh, I know, Mr. Graham. You're a busy man.
Dad, you've never forgotten before. You've come with us every year now.
I'm awfully sorry, son. Professor, I just can't make it.
What is it? Where are you going?
Well, it's a committee dinner, son. Very important. I simply can't get out of it.
But, Dad...
I said I can't get out of it. Let it go at that, will you?
All right, Dad. I'm sorry.
And that was the beginning, Philip. You didn't know it then, but you made a choice that night. A choice between your family, your home, and Corinne. And as you and Corinne continued to meet secretly during the weeks that followed, it began to worry you. Not your family, of course. It was your position, your reputation.
Oh, Philip, I think it's wonderful. All you've accomplished.
Corinne, there's something I think...
You don't have to say it, Philip. I know what you're thinking.
Do you?
You're wondering when I'm going to tell you I want out. When I'm going to tire of loving a man I can never be seen with.
Corinne, dear,
Isn't that it?
Frankly, yes.
Please don't think about it anymore. I don't want to break up your home. I never will, darling. Because it would hurt the very thing I admire you for most of all. Your career. That's all.
Well, Philip, you can have it all now. Your family, your career, and Corinne. He's right, as you see. The one all-important thing in your life is that nameplate on your desk. Philip B. Graham, District Attorney. And you know now that you'll never have to choose between that and Corinne. And then one night, a few weeks later, you return unexpectedly from a business trip and decide to drop in to see her before going home. As you walk up the steps onto the porch, you hear voices. Disturbing voices.
That is just the way I feel about it.
You can't tell me everything's over between us.
It's got to be over.
I can't turn my love off just like that.
As you grab the handle of the front door, a rage wells up inside you, gripping your stomach, rising in your throat, and bursting in your brain like a shell.
Open this door! Corinne! Corinne!
Philip, why did you come here?
Never mind that. Who are you talking to?
Philip, be quiet.
Don't lie to me. Where is he?
Philip.
Tell me I heard someone in here. Where's he hiding?
Oh, please, Philip.
Get out of my way!
You step past her. The closet door is partly open. And as you walk toward it, Corinne steps to the light switch. The room goes dark.
Turn on that light. Oh, here you are. I knew it.
As you struggle with him in the darkness, you realize he's too powerful for you. He forces you back against the table. Your hand lights on a heavy metal bookend. In a blind rage, you swing it high.
Now you'd better turn on the lights, Corinne.
Philip.
Hurry up.
All right.
Good Lord.
Oh, Philip, why did you do it? He didn't mean anything to me. Nothing at all. He came here because he found out about us. He wanted me to stay away from you.
Forget some water quickly.
It's no use. He's dead.
Oh, no.
You killed Professor Bentley, your son's best friend.
This is Alfred Hotkick. Does the name Jean Nicot mean anything to you? Perhaps it should. And I shall tell you why. 400 years ago, Jean Nicot was a respected scholar and diplomat. He wrote many learned articles and compiled a dictionary of the French language. Quite appropriately, his own name came to be part of most later dictionaries. For you see, while Monsieur Nicot was serving as ambassador to Lisbon, he became fascinated by a strange plant that had been brought over from the new land of America. When he returned to his own country in 1560, he took some specimens of the plant with him, and in this manner he introduced tobacco to France. Nicot's countrymen began to associate his name with the smoke-producing leaves. But the older Indian word, which sounded like tobacco, became more common. Nicot, however, was not completely left out. His name lives on in nicotine, the poisonous drug in the plant he introduced to France. So there you have the moral of my story. Beware of those who would name something after you. Should it be the wrong thing, you may find your good name poisoned.
Well, Philip, you never expected anything like this. This couldn't be happening to you. It's all so horrible, so fantastic. For weeks now, your association with Corinne Scott has seemed so completely wonderful. Now, with the suddenness of the jealous rage that spurred your wild action there in the dark room, a beautiful dream is turned into a nightmare. And Professor Bentley, gentle, friendly Professor Bentley, your son David's friend, lies dead at your feet. As you stand there, stunned, looking down at what you've done, you're vaguely aware that Corinne has come forward and picked up the heavy bookend you used. You sink down into a chair as she moves about, straightening things up, scarcely looking at you. Slowly, you lower your hands from your face and look up at her.
Corinne, what are we going to do?
You killed him, Philip. You killed an innocent man who did nothing more than come here to ask me to stay away from him.
Oh, I know that. As soon as the light went on and I saw who it was, I knew why he was here. Oh, Corinne, Professor Bentley was such a good friend to my son, to me. What am I going to say? How can I explain?
You wouldn't have to explain if you could get him out of here, Philip.
What?
If he was found somewhere else, maybe miles from here.
Corinne, would you help me do that?
Yes, Philip, I would.
I never knew anyone could be so devoted. So much in love with a person.
I'm not doing it because I love you, Philip.
What?
Because I don't. I never have.
Corinne, what are you talking about?
I loathe you, Philip. I despise you and everything you've ever stood for.
Have you lost your mind?
Oh, the man of stone is crumbling. What's the matter, Philip? You're shaking. Shaking like a man in the death house. You're scared and bewildered, just like Tommy Anderson up there in the state penitentiary.
Anderson? Tommy Anderson? What do you know about him?
I know that he was innocent, Philip. And so do you. I know that you put in her ears in condemned row because it made you district attorney.
I don't know what you're saying. But I don't see what it has to do with it.
It has everything to do with it, Philip. Everything in the world. Because that's what Tommy Anderson means to me.
What?
I knew you'd be surprised. You see, Philip, you're not the prosecutor on the case anymore. I am.
You mean you planned this? You got the professor
No,
here?
not the professor. I had nothing to do with his coming here. I simply intended to involve you in a scandal, Philip. Or rather, a threatened scandal.
And
then I was going to give you a choice. A choice of being ruined through disgrace.
Or of telling the truth about Tommy Anderson. Right?
Exactly. Now you have two alternatives, Philip. You can either free Tommy or stand trial for murder.
But it's impossible. I can't go back on what I've said about Anderson, not without
admitting you produced false evidence against him.
I'd be thrown out of office in 24 hours.
Is that worse than the gas chamber?
Is that the choice you're giving me, Corinne?
That's it, Philip. You haven't long to make up your mind. The neighbors should be coming home any minute now. They might get curious if they saw a body being carried
Don't
out.
talk about it. I'll do what you say, Corinne.
Where's Professor Bentley's car?
He said he parked in the next block. He didn't want to be seen.
I'll go get it.
I'll go with you.
You don't have to. I'll come back.
I'm sure you'll come back. Because you see, while I was taking up around here, I hid that bookend. The one with your fingerprints all over it.
Not missing a bit.
I can't afford to. Tommy Anderson's life depends on it. Shall we go?
You find the professor's car a block away. Run it into the drive alongside the duplex. Corinne helps you carry the professor's body out of the house to the car, warns you to call her soon, and returns to the apartment. In the next half hour, you live your life over, don't you, Philip? Driving grimly through the night, not knowing exactly where you're going, trying to stay on the darkest streets until you reach the edge of town. The university looms up ahead, a big, slumbering shadow. And you decide there's no better spot than Professor Bentley's own campus. You run the car in beneath the clump of trees, turn off the motor, wipe away your fingerprints, and climb out. Some distance from the campus, you swing onto a trolley car and get off 20 minutes later and walk the few blocks to your home. Not much hope for sleep, is there, Philip? Nothing to do but wait for the axe to fall. The minute the morning papers hit the streets.
X-ray paper, X-ray university, Professor Swain, X-ray,
Police offer the theory that the killing might be a gangland reprisal against District Attorney Philip Graham, whose home the slain professor often visited. Recent efforts by the Graham regime to rid the city of gangster domination are known to have caused threatening talk in many quarters, a City Hall spokesman said today. While Graham himself could not be reached concerning...
Hello, Phil. Hello, Matt. Anything new? Wish there was. The boys have been on us 48 hours now without arrest.
I'm not giving up on you.
You know me better than that. The day I give up, I'll resign as police commissioner. You know what the professor meant to you and your boys, Phil. We'll get the guy who did it if it takes us 20 years. Oh, just a second. Yeah.
There's a Miss Scott calling me.
Wait a minute.
I told her you were busy. She says it's quite important.
All right, put her on.
Hello, Philip.
You called at a bad time. I'm busy with the police commissioner.
Go ahead, Phil. Don't mind
I'll
me.
be brief, Philip. I've waited 2 days now. That's all I intend to wait. I want a signed statement about Tommy.
Look, I'll have to see you first.
I told you I'm not going to wait any longer. It had better be tonight.
All right, tonight.
9 o'clock?
Make it 10.
All right, 10. And I wouldn't be late if I were you.
No, of course. Goodbye. Appointments, favors, business as usual. What do they think I am, anyway?
Tough on you, I know, Phil. Well, I better get back and see if the boys did anything with the one lead we've got.
What's that?
A girl?
A girl?
Yeah. We think the professor had a date with a girl that night. Some dame who was paid to lure him into the trap.
You mean on the campus?
He wasn't killed on the campus. We knew that from the first. He was probably murdered in the girl's apartment.
Oh, I see.
We're checking every move he made that night. We'll find her if she's alive.
What do you mean by that?
Well, she's a pretty important girl. For both our side and theirs. I wouldn't be surprised to find her in the river one of these mornings. I'll see you later, Phil.
And you're thinking about the girl as he talks to you, aren't you, Philip? Of what she told you that terrible night in her living room. That you have two alternatives, Philip. You can either flee Tommy or stand trial for murder. But there's another choice now, isn't there? Yes, it's been done before. The usual disappearance of the key witness with all the gangster trimmings. They'll never question it for a moment. At 5 minutes of 10, as you walk onto the porch of Corinne's house for the first time since the murder, you've made a terrific decision. You're going to kill her.
Well, you're right on time, Philip.
I'm always on time.
Well, it won't take long. I didn't quite understand what you meant this afternoon about discussing it. There's nothing to discuss. I wanted a signed affidavit that you sent Tommy Anderson up on manufactured evidence. I'll be only too happy to walk out of your life. It's very simple.
It's not that simple, Corinne. I want that bookend, for one thing.
Naturally. What about your signed statement?
Here you are. I wrote it at the office this afternoon. It's all there.
It certainly is.
What about the bookend?
Just a minute. I'm enjoying this. You know, Philip, I'd never believe you could be so frank.
Where is it?
It's there on the table in plain sight.
You didn't hide it.
Not that one. I hid the mate to it, Philip, very conveniently, just in case you decided to steal it. In a drawer under a pile of papers where I knew you'd find it. You could never tell them apart without a microscope, of course. Fingerprints are hard to see. Philip? You... Oh, wait a minute. You can't get away with...
Sorry, Corinne. It's too bad you didn't realize there was a third choice.
Graham speaking.
Phil, there's a big break in the Bentley case.
Go on.
The girl I told you about. She's more than a theory now. She's a corpse. Found her dead in her apartment this morning.
Any idea who did it?
We know who did it, Phil.
Oh, that's pretty quick work.
Want me to send a car for you?
For me?
I'm afraid so.
Where are you?
Her apartment. Got the suspect here with us.
Oh, you have him there?
That's right.
For sure, Matt. Send the car. I'll be right over.
This is Alfred Hopkins speaking. Once upon a time, there was an Apache named Goyasle. Truly translated, this means one who yawns. Obviously, this was not a proper name for a warrior who wished to strike terror in his opponent. So Goyasle, perhaps after consulting an early-day version of an act of aging, selected a name which he felt was more appropriate. Soon, he was the terror of the Southwest. Throughout the area, people trembled with fear when they heard the name Geronimo. Years later, of course, Goyasle's nom de guerre came into different use. American parachutists added it to the English language, and they cried Geronimo as they leaped from their planes. The exact meaning of the war. Old Geronimo, by the way, did not die in battle. He retired to reservation life in order to work on his memoirs and join the Dutch Reformed Church. May I add, there is absolutely no truth to the stories that Geronimo entitled his autobiography. They laughed when I raided a village, and then I changed my name. The idea is absurd.
Well, Philip, it was a terrible moment, wasn't it? Listening to Police Commissioner Matthews telling you over the telephone they knew who killed Corinne Scott, while your mind reached out frantically for some detail you might have overlooked. The bookend, the bottom of the river where it belonged, the affidavit, carefully burned after you left the apartment, fingerprints, tire tracks, witnesses. You'd been too careful for that. Then the wonderful words that almost made your heart stop, that they had the suspect there with them. Someone else, Philip, had made a mistake, a staggering, wonderful mistake. The homicide squad is all over the apartment when you arrive.
Well, glad you got here so soon, Frank.
I dropped everything, of course. Where's the suspect?
In the bedroom. You know, Phil, I wish there was some mistake about this.
Huh?
For the first time in my life, I wish I had nothing to do with cracking a case.
What are you talking about?
Bring him in here, boys.
Matthews, what do you mean by that?
I was hoping we'd be wrong. There's just no other answer. And the guy comes walking right out of the victim's house and can't tell why.
David. Hello, Dad.
He won't say a word.
I was waiting for my father. He called me up early last night, Dad. He said she could tell me something about what happened to Professor Bentley. I came on over and he told me everything.
I see.
It sounded crazy. I told her it was a pack of lies. After I went home last night, I couldn't sleep. That's why I came back here this morning.
What did she tell you, David?
I've said all I'm going to say.
You know what that means, of course.
I think so. Dad.
Matt.
Yes, Phil?
You'd better get a stenographer. I've got a story to tell you. A story that begins with Tommy Anderson and ends right here.
Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Frank Nelson, Jeanette Nolan, Gil Stratton Jr., Al Gerard, and Herbert Litton. The Whistler was directed by George W. Allen, with story by Joel Malone, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler was entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
Tune in again next week at this same time for The Whistler. The Whistler has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
The Chicago Motor Club presents the Wayside Theatre. Welcome to the Wayside Theatre, ladies and gentlemen. Each Sunday evening, enthusiastic playgoers dial their way to the Play of the Week, sponsored for your entertainment by the Chicago Motor Club. The presentations are always different, sometimes a comedy, sometimes a stirring romance, and occasionally a real mystery thriller, but always an interesting original play written especially for the Wayside Theatre. Your host, the Chicago Motor Club, varies its radio entertainment in much the same way its services to 70,000 member families are varied. The club takes into consideration the many-sided requirements of automobile owners and satisfies those requirements by means of 26 money-saving services. There's no reason why you shouldn't enjoy those benefits, too. At least you'll want to find out about them. They're explained fully and simply in a free booklet which is yours for the asking. Just call Franklin 1818 right after this broadcast, or send your name and address on a penny postcard to the Chicago Motor Club, Chicago, or its nearest branch office. Tonight, we're going to take you back to romantic and colorful days in the thrilling history of early California. The time is 1847. It's an era of long ago, unrestrained, quick-tempered, intensely dramatic, thoroughly fascinating. The play of the week, ladies and gentlemen, is written by Virginia Safford and entitled Romance in Old Monterey. It is presented now as the curtain rises in the Chicago Motor Club's Wayside Theatre.
Be murdered by Spaniards before we even get to Monterey. Oh, mercy.
Miss Matilda, if you'd hold on to the side of the coach.
Oh, I've never been so jolted and all. Oh, these drivers are crazy. That's what they are.
Surely we'll be there before long now. Miss Matilda, was it foolish not to let Caleb and Uncle John know?
Oh, arriving a whole week early, we'll probably find them both away.
But it did seem so romantic to surprise them.
Well, it's too late to worry now. What's bothering me is those fool drivers. Why have they got shotguns across their knees?
Dear knows. Unless it's just one of the Western customs.
Oh, I suppose I might just as well get used to these queer ways.
But, Miss Matilda, you're returning to Connecticut as soon as Caleb and I are married, so...
Emily, you might just as well know before we get there that I intend to stay in Monterey. I'm going to open a shop for the soldiers.
Why, how wonderful. But do gentlewomen ever go into trade?
Oh, rubbish. I'm just going to do mending and give them treats of pies and cakes. High time someone did.
I think it's terribly romantic. Oh, Miss Matilda, it'd be so much fun to help you in your little shop.
Wonder what Captain Caleb Grayson and Governor John Bennett would say to that. Anyway, where will you get the time?
But surely Caleb won't expect to be married immediately. Why, I haven't even seen him since I was a little girl.
You know more than that now.
I know. It fair takes my breath away to think that Caleb has asked me to share his wonderful future.
Hurry!
Oh, merciful heaven.
We're stopping. Oh, what's happened to us?
Senores, throw down your guns.
Oh, gracious Peter.
They must be Spaniards. And they're wearing masks.
Emily, get down here on the floor.
Oh, what'll they do to
us? We'll be murdered. I knew we'd be murdered.
Josefa, bring la señorita from the coach. Ándale.
Sí, señor. Señorita. Diablo, señor. Look, there are two of them.
Caracoles, bring them both then, and be quick.
Venga aquí, señora.
We'd better do as they say.
We'll come. We're getting out.
So, and which of you is la señorita Emily Rogers? The intended bride of Captain Grayson?
Well, I...
You, the captain's bride? Oh, so young, so beautiful. But come, we waste time. One, lift la señorita up to my horse. Ándale.
Sí.
Oh, no.
Don't you dare.
Let me go. Oh, let me down from here.
Be quietly, señorita. Josefa, put the señora back into the coach.
Come, señora. You go back in the coach.
No,
Comprisa,
you let go of me. I won't get back in that coat.
Put me down.
Josefa, make haste.
Diablo, she claws like a wildcat.
Oh, Miss Matilda.
Oh, you wicked fiend.
Whip the horses. Send the coach away.
Oh, you...
Mount your horses.
Where are you taking me?
We go to my hacienda, señorita. You will be my honored guest. Senorita, the dancing of my servants does not amuse you? Or perhaps the night air is too chilly?
Do you think I want to be amused?
But, Senorita, you are my guest.
Why have you done this? Who are you?
To you, Senorita, I am just Ramon.
But how did you know who I am? And that our coach was arriving?
A Spaniard knows many ways to accomplish what he wants.
But what is it you want?
Bueno, perhaps I can make you understand a little. I have 4 years in Mexico City at the university. 2 months ago, I returned to Monterey. Everything is changed.
Naturally, the Americans have done a great deal to...
Senorita, of your Americanos, there are two kinds, good and bad. The bad ones take our land, plunder our ranchos, rob us of our cattle. My people, they are gay, happy children. They cannot see what lies ahead in the future if these bad ones gain still more power.
But what can you gain by keeping me here? My uncle is the governor. He'll send troops to...
No, Senorita. The Governor Bennett is away on business at the Pueblo of Los Angeles.
Oh, but Captain Grayson will find me.
See? It is that for which we wait.
You want Caleb and his men to come here?
The Captain will come alone, Senorita. And long before this, he should be here.
Caleb is coming here?
See? That is the plan, Senorita. The Captain will come alone because me, I tell him to. Then he and I will make the bargain.
Senor Ramon, Pedro is returned.
Why has he been so long?
Senor Ramon.
Pedro, tell me. You delivered the message to the Captain?
No, senor. I could not deliver the message.
What?
The Captain got away from Monterey yesterday.
But he will return.
Not for 2, maybe 3 days.
We wait then. We try again.
No, senor. The old senora, she roused the town. The troops search the countryside. Soon they will be here.
Then the old plan has failed. If we cross swords with the troops, we show our hand, everything will be ruined. One, bring the horses. You and Josefa accompany La Senorita within 1/2 mile of Monterey. Make certain she is safe. Then meet me at the usual place near Rancho Santa Margarita.
Sí, pronto.
You're going to let me go? You're sending me back?
See, Senorita Emilita Rogers, I make the mistake. Another time I seek the meeting with the Captain. I ask your pardon that you suffer without need.
But I haven't suffered. Indeed, you've been very kind to me.
Everything is ready, senor.
Bueno. Senorita, it is too bad that first we meet like this. Perhaps if... but there is need for haste. You allow me?
Oh, thank you. But, Ramon, what will happen to you?
Quien sabe? That we'll learn later, perhaps. But now you must go. Adios, little Emilita. Perhaps we meet again soon. Quien sabe?
And so ends the first act in the Wayside Theatre production of Romance in Old Monterey. If you're thinking about buying an automobile, either new or used, you'll be interested in this little scene between young Tommy Taylor and his wife Betty. They have an important date this evening, and they're dressed in their best for the big event. Let's listen as they're coming out of their house.
Gee, you look wonderful tonight, Bets.
You're looking pretty fancy yourself, Mr. Taylor.
Wouldn't it be swell if we didn't have to ride a crowded streetcar?
Oh, of course it would, but I don't mind, dear. Well, I know it's a lot of trouble to finance a car these days.
Maybe it is and maybe it isn't. Say, wouldn't it be great if that snug little sedan there belonged to me?
Now, don't be daydreaming. Come on, we've got to hurry.
Oh, how about driving our own car?
Our own? Well, when did you...
Yes, sir, she's all ours. And talk about an easy way to buy a car and at the lowest possible cost.
Explain yourself, young man.
Ever hear of the Chicago Motor Club?
Certainly.
Well, I have the club to thank for a really convenient method of buying a car. I talked to their automobile finance department, and honestly, Bets, I never heard of such a swell deal in my life. I had no idea a man could save so much trouble and red tape and dollars on buying a new car. Would you believe it? I saved $25 just because a friend of mine told me about the service and protection he got through the club automobile finance department.
Oh, isn't it wonderful, Tommy? Aren't you proud?
You just bet he's proud. And so are thousands of other car owners who have consulted the automobile finance department of the Chicago Motor Club before they bought their new or used cars. You see, this 32-year-old club is dedicated to the motoring enjoyment of you and your family. And it's the club's pleasant job to see that you get the most for your money. Better get that free booklet right away. Your name and address on a penny postcard is all you need. Just send it to the Chicago Motor Club, Chicago, or its nearest branch office. Or call Franklin 1818 right after this program. No charge or obligation, just valuable information, free. Information on many club services that save you many dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, the curtain rises on the second act of Romance in Old Monterey.
Emily, what's come over you? You've been mooning around ever since.
But it's just that, I don't want to be married right away.
Oh, rubbish. Now get back out there in the shop. What'll Caleb think?
Very well, Miss Matilda.
If I don't get these pies, then we'll never get the shop open this afternoon.
We're so terribly busy this morning, Caleb.
Emily, right now I want it thoroughly understood that I shan't permit you to wait upon trade when the shop opens.
But, Caleb,
Now, we won't argue the matter, my dear child. Now, Emily, the essential thing right now is to find out where these ruffians took you.
But, Caleb, I've told you I don't know.
If they only knew who the men were. But I'll find them, Emily. And before I'm through, I'll rid California of every one of these worthless, ignorant Spaniards.
But, Caleb, I am safe. I came to no
It's
harm.
regrettable that I was absent when the coach arrived. I was trying to capture some cattle rustlers.
The Americans who've been stealing all the cattle?
Americans? What gave you that idea? Well, they're Spaniards. A band of cutthroat Spaniards seeking revenge.
Oh.
My dear, it is best that we be married once so that I may give you my full protection.
But...
Further delay is ridiculous.
But shouldn't we wait until Uncle John returns? We wouldn't want to displease him, Caleb.
No, that's true. I count a great deal upon the governor's friendship to further my...
Buenos dias, senorita.
What?
What do you mean by coming in here? This shop isn't open yet.
Caleb, please. The gentleman is our first customer. Good morning, sir. What can I do for you?
And so this is the great Captain Grayson, eh?
And just what...
Did you want to buy something, sir?
What see, senorita?
Perhaps something here on the counter would please.
What is this little silk book, senorita?
We call that a housewife. You see, it opens up and inside is thread and...
pins and needles and buttons. But this is very clever. Senorita, you yourself embroidered this pretty red rose on the cover?
Emily, I forbid you to wait upon this Mexican.
Why, Caleb.
But I do not mind, senorita. I am glad the captain is here. I wish to ask him an important question. Senor, do you think El Rancho Santa Margarita will be raided by cattle rustlers soon?
Why do you think that it will be raided?
Quien sabe? Perhaps because it is the only rancho that so far escaped. Perhaps because its owner is away. What do you think, senor? Give me your opinion.
You seem to know a lot about it.
One hears many things in the plaza, senor. But, pardon, senorita, I keep you waiting.
Give me that needlebook.
But secondly, if the captain wished to examine it...
Here's 10 cents. That's enough.
But, Caleb, he...
Surely the captain did not understand I myself...
Never mind, I have another one, if you really want one. See? They're just alike.
Perhaps the captain wished this one, too.
Go on, buy it and get out of here.
Muchas gracias, senor. The gallant captain gives 10 cents. But to me, the little needle book with the red rose la senorita embroidered is worth so.
But I couldn't take a whole dollar, sir.
Take it and get through with him. Or perhaps he wants me to escort him off the premises.
See? If the captain is ready to depart, bueno, we go together. Adios, senorita, and muchas gracias. Always I keep the little needle book with me and think of you.
Why, you insolent...
Please, go now, sir, before...
Sleep. Come, Captain. After you, senor.
Oh, no.
Ah, the good soldier does not expose the back to the enemy, eh? And now, senor, which way you go?
Why,
Oh, that is too bad. Me, I go this way. Adios, senorita. Hasta la vista. Buenas tardes, señorita Emelita.
Oh, Ramon, I've asked you please not to come here anymore.
But, Emelita, the day before yesterday, I bring my serape for you to mend.
It really wasn't torn.
Yesterday, it is necessary that I come and get it.
And today?
Today, I am very galoso. How you say in Americano? I have the sweet teeth. Ah, señorita, I become so hungry for little cookies.
Ramon, if you don't stop this, I'll tell Captain Grayson who you really are.
What, Emelita? You do not know who I really am.
That wasn't what I meant.
Emelita, why is it that you have not already told the captain it was I who stopped?
Miss Matilda's in back.
Is it that you love the captain so much? Or is it that you love me so much?
Oh, well, how dare you say so? Apparently you don't know that Captain Grayson and I are to be married on Thursday. When my uncle returns.
Thursday? But that is the day after tomorrow. That is so soon. Then we say adios the day after mañana?
Yes.
Emelita, before I lose you forever, give me one day. Come with me mañana. We will ride in the hills. I will show you my California. For one day I will bring sunshine into your heart, laughter to your lips, and into those big blue eyes.
Ramon, please, you know I couldn't.
Mañana at noon I come for you here.
But you mustn't come here anymore. It's too dangerous.
Then I send a horse for you.
I can't.
You will come. I will be waiting. Hasta mañana at noon, Emelita. Adios.
Emily, if you keep fidgeting, I'll never get this hem pinned up.
Miss Matilda, what time is it?
Oh, past noon, I think. I put my pies in at 10 of. Why on earth you should take this sudden notion to have me...
I was so afraid my dress wouldn't be finished by tomorrow. Oh, it is lovely, isn't it?
Now, stand still. I always say there's something about white satin... Oh, now, who left that horse hitched up in the backyard? He's been there for half an hour.
Dear knows, Miss Matilda. Oh, are you through?
Yes, now take it off.
Oh, no, let's try on my veil, too. What's that?
Oh, I'll see. Don't move now. The pins will fall out.
Captain Grayson sent this note from Miss Emily Rogers.
Oh, thank you. Good day.
Did he say from Caleb?
Yes. Gracious Peter, if anything's happened, all with such bad luck to postpone a wedding.
Oh, why?
What does it say?
But it couldn't be. Miss Matilda, I must see... Oh, he may have gone by now.
Emily!
I can't stop to explain. Oh, if he's gone...
Emily! Emily, come back here. You'll ruin that dress. Emily!
The second act of Romance in Old Monterey comes to a close. Back in 1920, when the Chicago Motor Club installed its emergency road service, it was met with the kind of enthusiasm that's mighty hard to equal. But this enthusiasm has been equaled by a more recent service, and then some. No other service has won more public approval than the club's automobile finance department. And Mr. and Mrs. Public are the best judges in the world about things like that. especially in these days when every penny saved is well worth the effort. But it's not pennies you save in this case, it's dollars. Just listen to this. Through the club's expert knowledge of every possible way to benefit motorists, and through arrangements which the club has made, you may now finance the purchase of a new or used car and get the friendliest, money-saving service you've ever had. Why, many car owners have saved as much as $25 on the purchase of a car. That's what I call a wonderful deal, and it's yours for the asking through the Automobile Finance Department of the Chicago Motor Club. And now, here's the quickest way to learn about not only that service, but also 25 other money-saving benefits. Just send your name and address to the Chicago Motor Club, Chicago, or its nearest branch office, or pick up the phone and call Franklin 1818. The club's free booklet, one of the most interesting, straightforward booklets you've ever read, will be yours without charge or obligation. The third act curtain rises on the Wayside Theatre production of Romance in Old Monterey.
Ramon! Oh, Ramon!
Hola! I knew you'd come, cara mia. If I wait long enough...
Ramon, something terrible has happened. The Rancho Santa Margarita was raided last night.
See, I know that.
Caleb sent me a note. He says he has definite proof that you raided the ranch.
What?
That you were the cattle thief.
The captain has proved that
You
I
must
am...
go. You'll be captured. They'll shoot you.
Hey, Melita, I must tell
Don't
you...
stop for anything. Just go quickly. You... Listen.
See?
Listen, Ramon. What's that?
Horses. Look, down the road.
Caleb. Caleb and a posse.
Oh, he send the note, then he follow. Very clever.
Oh, don't let him capture you, Ramon.
Adios, niña mia. Until we meet again, soon. Are! Hola, chico!
Caleb, don't shoot. Make them stop.
Hit him off, friend. Down! You got him!
Oh, Ramon. Oh, Caleb, you let them kill him.
Emily, are you all right?
Oh, how could you do this?
Captain Grayson, he's still alive.
Throw him across the horse, Sergeant. We take him back to town.
Caleb, let me go to him. He's wounded. He needs me.
Cattle rustler, Emery. Have you entirely lost your senses?
But he isn't. He is...
I told you I had proof. Here, look. Perhaps this will...
Nothing could convince... Where did you...
The needle book was found early this morning, just outside the open corral gates of the Santa Margarita Ranch. Do you still refuse to be convinced, my dear Emily? Governor Bennett, though the prisoner refuses to admit the needle book is his property, your niece has identified it. I myself was present when he purchased it from her. In fact, I purchased one like it. Must further time be wasted on this worthless cattle rustler?
No, Captain Grayson. I think we need
Uncle
not.
John, you promised him a fair trial.
But he's offered no proof that he did
Uncle
not.
John, may I see the needle book again, please?
But she has already...
Very well, my dear, if you wish.
Thank you. I thought perhaps... Uncle John, look. This is not the needle book Ramon purchased.
Emelita.
Why, just a moment ago you
I
said...
know, but I was wrong. This isn't the one. The rose embroidered on the one Ramon bought had but one green leaf. This has two green leaves. This is the one Caleb bought.
Emelita.
Preposterous.
Wait, are you sure, my dear?
Yes, see? There's also a slight defect in the rose petal. I remember. Uncle John, this is Caleb's. It isn't Ramon's.
But now wait. This was found outside the corral gates. Do you realize what you're implying?
But that isn't mine. It couldn't be. Why, I haven't been near
The captain can produce for us the one he purchased.
Governor Bennett, will you dispatch an orderly at once to my quarters to...
But Caleb, have you forgotten? You told me you'd lost yours.
Why, that's right, I did, but This is not the one I lost. Why, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, the captain laughed from the teeth out, I think.
Why, you...
Excellentia, I think now, thanks to La Senorita, I can speak and you will not brush away my word. I am Ramon de Vasquez Gonzalez. Don Miguel of the Rancho Santa Margarita is my grandfather.
Ramon!
Impossible.
Old Don Miguel of the Santa Margarita Ranch?
Si, Excellentia. My grandfather sent for me to protect his interests here in Monterey.
Yes, but why didn't you tell us? Why had you kept silent, man?
What good to tell who I am unless I can show you the real thief? And now, perhaps the captain will tell us why the man who sold the stolen cattle to my very good friend in San Joaquin Valley so strangely resembled the captain.
That's a lie.
Captain, your plan to place the blame on me
Captain
has failed.
Captain Grayson, I've known for some time you would stop at nothing to gain power here in California.
Sure you don't believe this lying Spaniard?
I am compelled to believe him. I've been suspicious of you before, Grayson. But I thought if I gave you free rein...
But, Governor
Captain
Bennett...
Grayson, I shall have you placed under arrest.
You can't do this. I'm innocent.
Ah, Excellentia, if I had only come to you at the first.
You fools. You can never prove this.
Ramon, take care.
Captain.
Grayson, I command you to drop that gun.
All of you stay where you are.
Quick, stop him.
You'll never take me.
Buenas noches, señorita. My dear one.
Ramon, are you all right?
Si, Emilita. And I come as soon as I can.
Caleb?
Oh, the posse does not give up. But me, I think we see the last of the captain.
But all the cattle, Ramon. Can you get it back from that man you said you knew?
That, Emilita, was what you say in Americano, the big bluff. But we get the cattle again, I think, anyway.
You tricked him.
Si, señorita of the big blue eyes. And now it is time I ask 2 questions of you.
2 questions?
Si. First, why did you tell His Excellentia, your uncle, the governor, the book of the pins and needles was not mine?
Why, because... Just because...
You were very monkey.
But I...
You knew it was mine, Emilita.
But I had to do something. And then when I saw Caleb's face, you see, he really had lost his, and... Oh, I fear it was very wicked of me. Poor Caleb.
Emilita, one time I say to you, there are good Americanos and bad ones.
It was that night at your hacienda. I understand now, Ramon.
Bueno. And now we come to the second question. Niña mia, will you teach me to be the good Americano?
Why, I...
Ah, querida mia. Your big blue eyes say the answers to all these questions I ask.
Ramon, please. No, you mustn't.
My little Emilita, I love you. You are for me everything.
Ramon.
Emily, is that a customer at this hour? Oh.
Si, senora, you have the customer. Not today, not mañana, but for all the time. Buenas noches, senora.
Gracious Peter. Buenas noches, senor.
And so ends Romance in Old Monterey, presented by the Chicago Motor Club in the Wayside Theatre. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, the Wayside Theatre will bring to you a play behind the play. By that I mean an exciting and amusing drama of what goes on behind the scenes. A New York producer is caught in a whirlpool of troubles and worries that always seem to accompany the production of a big Broadway play. In the midst of it all, his father and mother arrive for a visit. The star of his show rebels, and his problems reach a climax of headaches for him and entertainment for you. Be sure and tune in on this play of the week entitled Ma and Pa Play Cupid. And now, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that special offer I mentioned a while ago, that valuable free booklet which the Chicago Motor Club has prepared especially for you. Learn how 70,000 member families have ended motoring worries and are saving money right at the same time. Just send your name and address on a penny postcard to the Chicago Motor Club, Chicago, or its nearest branch office. And by the way, if you live in Chicago, there are special night operators on duty to take care of your request for that free booklet this evening if you'll just pick up your phone and call Franklin 1818. The Wayside Theatre play tonight starred Patricia Dunlap and Olin Soule with Ethel Owen, Michael Romano, Bill Boucher, Carolyn McKay, and Brett Morrison. This is Vern Smith speaking for the Chicago Motor Club.
This is the WBBM Air Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.
Folks, hold on to your hats and pass those Kellogg's Corn Pops. Because here comes Guy Madison as Wild Bill and his pal Jingles, which is me, Andy Devine. We got another rootin' tootin' Wild Bill Hickock adventure story for you from that great new cereal with the sweetening already on it, Kellogg's Corn Pops!
Kellogg's Corn Pops brings you Wild Bill Hickock, transcribed in Hollywood and starring Guy Madison as Wild Bill and Andy Devine as his pal Jingles. For the most part, it was a call for help or an official assignment which sent United States Marshal Wild Bill Hickock and his faithful deputy Jingles crashing into dangerous adventure. But the night they turned up the little road that led to the ranch house of an old friend, Charlie Dockett, it was just tricky chance that pushed them headlong into a mysterious challenge from the voice of Echo Canyon.
I don't know, Bill. The last time we stopped to visit with old Charlie Dockett, we got into a hair-splitting argument over who won the Civil War.
Well, don't let it worry you, Jingles. By now, he'll be a solid booster for the motto, One Nation, Indivisible.
I hope so. Wait a minute. I'll open the gate. Whoa, Joker. Yeah, things look mighty dark up at the house. Hey, Bill, he's got a cowbell hanging on the gate. Why you reckon he did that?
Just to let him know when he has visitors, I guess.
Yeah, right, good idea. Jingles. Why that ornery old beaver face? Hold your fire, you ranch rat, or I'll come up there and wrap that rifle around your wrinkled old neck.
Hold it, Jingles.
Come on, where I can get a shot at you, you rustling varmints.
Hey, Charlie, put that rifle away. It's Bill and Jingles.
Who'd you say?
Wild Bill Hickock and Jingles, you old coot.
Well, why didn't you say so? Come on up to the house.
Listen to that pea-picker, would you? Why didn't you come up to the house and say so?
Take it easy, partner.
Well, speak of the devil, me falls right into your corn crib. Bill, Jingles, get off them nags and set us there.
Well, I don't know whether we will or not. What's got into your craw, you old weasel? You always make folks welcome with a sizzle of lead?
Oh, quit that yapping. If you had half my trouble, you'd shoot first, too.
Trouble? Come on, Bill, let's get out of here.
Jingles, come on back here.
No, sirree, you heard what he said, Bill. If he's got trouble, and trouble is not for me.
He gone loco or something, Bill?
No, Charlie. You see, Jingles just naturally doesn't like the word trouble.
Come on, Bill, let's hightail it out of here.
Come on back here now, partner. You don't even know what you're running away from.
Wait, I'll get him. Oh, let him go, Bill. That'll leave more pork chops for us.
Ah, did I hear you say something about pork chops, Charlie?
You forgot your troubles, huh, Jingles?
Well, I can always take trouble a lot better with a pork chop or two under my belt.
Well, sit down, both of you. I got both pork chops and trouble.
What's the trouble, Charlie?
And where's the pork chops?
Rustlers in the cupboard.
Rustlers in the cupboard? Now, what do you mean by that?
No, you cactus-headed billy goat. The trouble is rustlers and the pork chops are in the cupboard.
Oh, well, I'll get the pork chops and you can tell Bill about the rustlers.
Well, I reckon it was fate that sent you here, Bill Hickock. Whole county's being run crazy by these varmints.
Anybody been able to trace the rustlers? You know, it's mighty easy to track a herd of cattle.
Yeah, you might think so, but 'tain't so easy in this case.
What do you mean?
We've been able to track 'em right up into Echo Canyon. Then the track's in, just like them critters had taken wing and gone flying right up into thin air.
Well, what's that you were saying? Bill, this old Coots loco is a tumbleweed. No herd of cows just up and disappeared.
No, they don't. But they did, every time.
Oh, I don't believe it. Hey, who's that?
Oh, it's my daughter, Linda.
Dad!
Hey, something's wrong.
Oh, Dad!
Oh, Linda, baby, what's the matter? Where's Johnny?
Bill, she's real scared.
Yeah, partner.
Easy, honey, now. Tell me, what happened?
Oh, Dad, it was awful. Those eerie voices filling the air. And then the gunshots. Johnny fell. I couldn't lift him. Oh, Dad, I think he's dead.
Howdy, partners. This is Panhandle Jim. And you know what I just did? I turned my radio up. Got to munching my corn pops so loud I couldn't hear good. I figure most of you wranglers are eating Kellogg's corn pops right now. If you aren't, here's what you're missing. Corn pops are golden hearts of corn, all popped up big and smiling. They're crisp and crunchy. And listen to this. They're already sweetened for you. Eat 'em right out of the box just like candy. Or when you chow down at breakfast in a bowl with milk. And say, partners, there's a wonderful new sweetness and flavor in your corn pops now. Yep, the Kellogg folks went to work to make 'em sweeter and crisper than ever before. So you're going to like 'em even better than you did from here on. Yes, sir, I'll stake my new 10-gallon hat you never enjoyed better eating. Now, tomorrow, sure, you'll want to saddle up and ride for the store. Load up on Kellogg's corn pops so you'll have plenty around for breakfast and snacks. Now, listen to this little saying I always use. Kids love pops, moms love pops, and pops love pops. You bet they do. Now, let's get back to Wild Bill and Jingles.
On hearing Linda Dockett's strange, hysterical tale, Wild Bill Hickock thought immediately that there might be some tie-up between the rustlers Charlie was talking about and the shots which dropped Johnny Dockett. When Linda calmed down, Bill made a suggestion.
Miss Linda, do you feel like you could ride back out and show us where all this happened?
Certainly, Bill. I'd do anything to catch the men who shot Johnny.
Good girl.
Well, we're all going, ain't we, Bill?
Sure are. If by any chance we do find Johnny, he'll have to be carried back.
I can take you right to the spot where I left him. Please hurry.
Which way, Linda?
Around the house and north toward the hills. This way.
All right, let's ride. Hi, Buckshot, hi.
Jump, Joker, you heard what Bill said. Ha, ha, ha!
This rain's sure going to make it hard to find any tracks.
This is the spot, Bill.
Ooh, Buckshot.
It's so dark, but this is the spot where we were when... But where's Johnny? Johnny? Johnny! Oh, what if they came and got him? Or if he was still alive and...
Well, if that's the spot, Bill, Johnny's not there. See any tracks? They might look like he walked out.
No, I didn't, Charlie. The rain must have washed them away before we got here. But I did see cow tracks. You know, it looks like this is the path the rustlers been using, all right.
Well, I want to see where they took to their wings and flew away.
But where is Johnny?
We'll just have to keep looking, Miss Linda. Hey, wait a minute. Listen.
Oh, what is it, Bill?
Water.
A flash flood.
Coming down this canyon?
Quick, on your horses. Here, Miss Linda, I'll give you a hand.
I'm up all right.
All right, now head down the canyon and ride.
We're almost on it. Ride for your life!
Oh, it's all my fault. Maybe I did miss the spot, and Johnny was still there when the flood came.
Now, Miss Linda, you can't go blaming yourself. If it was the right spot, then there's still some hope.
Hope? Bill, how can you say there's any hope after that flood?
Yeah, Bill. Johnny wasn't dead from the gunshot wounds, he'd surely have drowned in the flood.
I wouldn't be too sure about that, Charlie.
Well, I don't get you, Bill.
Well, just stop and think a minute.
Yeah, I've been trying that. Partner, all I can figure is you soaked up too much water with your head last night.
No, Jingles. Suppose it was the right spot, as I said. We know Johnny wasn't there.
Go on, Bill.
Then how'd he get away?
Well, I don't know. How?
One of two ways. Either he was able to move himself, or he had to be carried out.
Then there might still be a chance.
Bill, it's quit raining.
Good.
You ready to go now, Bill?
That's right, partner.
Go? Where are you going?
Back out to Echo Canyon. Come on, Jingles.
Well, Windy, we made a right good haul last night.
Yes, boss, we sure did, and I reckon we ought to get away with it right easy this time on account of the flood, don't you reckon? It seems to me that we ought to
do it. We didn't even need our tricks this time.
No, don't need them at all, because the water from that flash flood down this canyon wash out the tracks of elephant herd, if you'd run elephant herd. Say, boss, wouldn't that be something to cut the mustard? Rustling elephants. Say, now, how'd you like to do that, huh? But what'd you do with
Windy.
Yeah, boss, you call me?
Shut your flapping yap and...
But I was just saying, how'd you like to rustle elephants instead?
I said dry up. Look down there on the floor of the canyon.
Yeah, two riders. One of them's a big one. One's not so big, but he's still plenty big, wearing a buckskin jacket.
I can see him. Wonder who they are.
Well, I don't know, but they wear two guns each, and they don't look too good. You reckon they're out looking for us now? Do you reckon they are?
Well, if they are, they'd better be hoping they don't find us.
That's right, boss. They'd better be hoping they don't find us, because if they do, they'll get something they're out looking for, I reckon, won't they, boss?
Maybe they won't see us.
Oh.
I'm going back in the cave and get some sleep. I figure to move them cattle out of the back of the cave to the south slope tonight.
All right, boss. And you want me to keep an eye on them two riders down there?
Yeah. When they get too close, scare them off, like you did those two you saw last night. And be sure you keep awake.
Oh, sure, boss. I'll keep awake and watch them. I reckon if they get too close, I won't just scare them away. No, sir. I don't only scare them, I shoot them.
Bill, we've been combing this canyon all day, since before daylight this morning. And we ain't found so much as one little bitty speck of a sign.
You're right, Jingles. Even the cow tracks I saw last night have been washed away.
It's almost dark again. I hate to give up, but I'd stake my life that Johnny Dockett was washed away in that flood last night.
Well, I wouldn't, partner, and we're going to keep looking.
And what happened to the rustlers? If it was rustlers, and I'm not so sure it was.
Then who was it?
Bill, do you reckon it's possible that Linda's imagination ran away with her?
I don't think so.
But all that hysterical talk about eerie voices and... Oh, now, you wouldn't believe a thing like that, would you? Even if you heard it yourself? But Bill...
You just said you wouldn't believe it if you heard it.
Yeah, I did, but did you hear it? That's all I want to know, did you?
As a matter of fact, I did.
Well, then, did you believe it?
I'm afraid I'm going to have to, partner. I'm just trying to figure out where it came from.
Oh, now, partner, let's go home. I don't hanker to go gallivanting around socially with no ghosts and banshees on a night like this. It just ain't... Bill... What are you looking at up there?
Yeah, that's it. Look, Jingles. You see that kind of hollowed-out rock face up there on the right side of the canyon wall?
Where? Oh, there.
Don't point to it.
Why, Bill?
That's all right. Now we've got it spotted. Let's go get the Jasper. Hi, Butcher. Hi.
I'm with you, Jump Joker. You heard what Bill said.
There, Jingles. A trail leading up through here.
Hey, I didn't see this before. Help! You say something, Bill?
Stay with me now.
Help! Bill,
Whoa, Buckshot, whoa. Hold up, Jingles.
Dig in, Joker. Oh, boy. Oh, what's the matter, Bill?
Listen a minute.
Oh, but that sneaking coyote with that rifle is...
I thought I heard something. Over this way, Jingles.
Bill, you reckon it's Johnny Dockett?
Either that or a trick to get us in an ambush.
Ambush? Then be careful, Bill. Let's go easy now.
Woo, Buckshot, woo.
Yeah.
There he is, Jingles.
Yeah. Is it Johnny? Oh, Oh, Bill, the poor guy.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny. Hand me your canteen, Jingles.
His eyes are closed, Bill.
Yeah, but he's still breathing. Hey, Johnny. Johnny, can you hear me, boy?
Oh, Bill, that's a nasty wound in his chest.
Sure is.
You realize he must have drug himself all the way up here from the floor of the canyon where Linda left him?
Yeah, and that took plenty of nerve.
And he's been laying out in this hot sun all day without water. Yes, sneaking yellow-backed lizard, I'm coming up there after you with both guns blazing.
Jingles.
What?
Come back here.
No, sir, I'm going up and smoke that sidewinder out of his den and take the hide off of him.
You'll have to wait, partner. We've got to do something here for Johnny.
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot, but when I do get around to it, that cave-dwelling salamander's going to wish he'd never been born.
We'll have to make a litter to carry Johnny home on. I just hope he lives till we get there.
Yeah, and in addition to hoping, well, I expect we'd better pray a little too, Bill.
Well, here we are, partner.
Yeah, I'm sure glad he held out, Bill.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, Joker. Oh, Buckshot.
That you, Bill? Jingle?
Yeah, Linda, it's me.
Well, come on in. Why are you Oh, Johnny. Dad, they found Johnny.
Now you can take care of him, Linda.
And he's going to be all right. I just know it.
What's going on, Johnny, my boy?
Easy now, Charlie. You help Linda with Johnny. Jingles and I got some work to do. Come on, Jingles. I know some rustlers whose time has run out.
This is your old sidekick, Panhandle Jim. Want to do a little chinning about something real good. It's about Kellogg's Corn Pops, a wonderful eating cereal that's already sweetened for you. Now listen close here. Corn Pops are hearts of corn, all puffed up big and happy with plenty of tasty sweetening on them. Now you can eat them the way I eat them when I listen to Wild Bill Hickock, right out of the box by the handful, just like candy. But come breakfast time, pour them out in a bowl and add a little milk. And remember, partners, there's a wonderful new sweetness and flavor in your Corn Pops now, because the Kellogg folks kept right on working to make them sweeter and crisper than ever before. So you're going to like them better than ever from here on. Yes, sirree. Now, if you're eating them right now, look at the bag inside the box. That bag's pure aluminum. Keeps Kellogg's Corn Pops fresh up to 10 times longer. Now, don't go fussing with one box of Corn Pops. Get your mom to load up big. Then out of the box or out of the bowl, you can have all the Kellogg's Corn Pops you want, and you'll want plenty. Now, all together, let's tell everybody who loves Corn Pops. Kids love Pops. Moms love Pops, and Pops love Pops. Now, let's hustle on back to the show.
Wild Bill and Jingles have left the Docket Ranch and headed back for Echo Canyon, bound for the trail leading up to the spot where they were fired upon. It's a cold, black night now as they get back to the place where they found Johnny Docket.
Whoo, Buckshot, whoo. This is far enough, Jingles.
Oh, Joker, stand now. We going to leave the horses here, Bill?
Yeah, I think we better. Stand, Buckshot.
Yeah, but, Bill, that trail's wide enough to take our horses. We wouldn't have to walk up.
That trail's wide enough to take a herd of cattle 4 abreast, Jingles.
Huh? Bill, you mean... That's what those persimmon-eating cattle thieves have been doing.
Sure. They drive the cattle into Echo Canyon, then up this hidden trail.
Oh, no. I got you this time. If they'd have been driving those critters up that trail, they'd have the tracks showing. And there aren't any tracks, so you must be wrong.
If I find what I think I will in that cave up there, I'll prove it to you and show you how they did it.
Then what are we waiting for? Let's go.
If you go shooting that blamed rifle again, Windy, unless you have to, I'll wrap it around your dirty neck.
But you told me to scare 'em off. You told me to. And they didn't scare so easy, so I just took a couple of pot shots at 'em.
Well, now you stay here and watch this entrance. I'm taking the rest of the boys and driving those cows out the back of this cave into Skull Valley.
You're going to take 'em on to market tonight?
As far as I can take 'em. Don't you let nobody through this way.
Well, what makes you think somebody's going to try to get in this way, boss? Ain't nobody knows about this entrance, is they?
So you're shooting that rifle like a cavalry regiment this evening. You might as well put up a sign pointing to it. Just don't let nobody get by you, or I'll be putting up a marker over your grave on Boot Hill.
Hey, boss. Hey, boss. Hey, what was it? Did you do that? No, it sounded like me, but it wasn't, was it? I didn't do nothing, did I?
I'll get the boys. There's somebody out there. Hey, Pete, Marty, get the rest and come on. We got a little killing to do.
That's it, Jingles. Now do it again.
Oh, yeah.
That ought to get 'em.
Yeah, but I don't hear any echo.
Don't worry, they do. Now, you got your rope ready?
Yeah, I've been ready.
It'll take a wide loop to get 'em all.
Don't worry.
Okay, here they come.
All right, boys, come on, shoot me.
All right, Jingles, now.
Yeah, right now. Hey, what's going on?
Drop those irons, mister.
And tell the rest of your rustling owl hoots to do the same.
Oh, no, you don't.
Now, it seems to me, mister, that's dropping a gun the hard way. Remember that the next time you draw on Wild Bill Hickock.
Hickock?
Hold on there just a second, Jingles.
Where you going, Bill?
Just to take a look in this cave. Yep, there's a herd of cows they rustled last night. And there's what I was looking for. Right clever. Well, that's all I need.
Well, did you find anything, Bill?
Only about 200 head of stolen cattle and a big piece of tarpaulin. Enough to send them all to the pen.
You ain't going to send me to the pen. Grab your guns and get them, too.
I reckon it'd be better all around if you'd leave those guns on the ground. Now drop them.
Yeah, more of you'd get to jail alive that way. That's better. Bill, what do you mean by a big piece of tarpaulin? What's that got to do with it?
Simple, partner. That's how they made the tracks disappear. By putting a big tarp down on the floor of the canyon near the foot of that hidden trail.
You mean they put a rug down for them critters?
That's right. The cattle walked across it, up the trail.
Made it look like they had just disappeared.
You got it.
Well, I'll be a lop-eared, weather-beaten brother to a hungry sand flea.
Yep, I reckon you're at that.
No, you just hold your... Hey, you sound like the same one that scared the liver out of me last night. That voice I heard.
What voice? You mean the one that sounded like...
That's the one. Yes, sir, that's the one. Wait, I'll get even with you.
Oh, you done did. You scared the tar out of me tonight. You was the echo voice I heard, wasn't you?
Maybe you mean the one that sounded like...
Yeah, by cracky, that's the one.
Well, where you're going, you ain't going to hear it no more. You know, I don't blame you for being scared by my voice. Less I remember it's me talking, I get scared to death by it myself.
And now, here are the stars of Wild Bill Hickock, Guy Madison, and Andy Devine.
That's all for today, folks. We hope you've enjoyed our Wild Bill Hickock story, and join us again next week.
Yes, sir, because we're really going to have a rip snorter coming up.
Meanwhile, Andy and I also hope you'll remember to get Kellogg's Corn Pops.
Right. It's a great new cereal with the sweetening already on it.
You bet it is. Andy and I think Corn Pops are great. So long.
See you next week.
Yes, sir, be sure to listen next week at this same time on this same station when Kellogg's Corn Pops brings you another exciting story of Wild Bill Hickock, starring Guy Madison and Andy Devine in person. Today's cast included Cliff Arquette, Gene Vanderpyle, Ken Christie, Hal Gerard, and Jack Moyles. Our director is Paul Pierce. Music by Dick Orant. This is a David Heyer production transcribed in Hollywood. This is Charlie Lyon reminding you, kids love Pops, moms love Pops, Pops love Pops. Kellogg's Corn Pops.
For the life of your car, go Gulf. The Gulf Oil Companies and your neighborhood Good Gulf dealer present We the People. And here is your host for Gulf Oil, Dan Seymour.
A courtroom drama reenacted. The defendants, 6 zany musicians, the Corn Cobblers, charged with disturbing the peace. Their defender, the Great Dane in person, Lawrence Melchior. You'll meet 1949's most celebrated teacher, Nobel Prize winner Hideki Yukawa. And hear the saga of Mr. Football himself, Coach Amos Alonzo Stagg. Yes, and along with the Oscar Bradley Orchestra, listen now to a voice from the future.
Calling all planets, we're speaking to you from the Rocket Bowl, broadcasting the Interplanetary Football Classic. Mars has just scored a touchdown. The score is tied. Earth 6, Mars 6. It's a game of Titan.
Could it happen? Are there really humans on the planet Mars? Listen now to Gulf Oil's next guest. Our first of the evening, the famed astronomer, Clyde Tombaugh.
Mr. Seymour, I don't know about football teams, but I believe there is life on Mars. I've seen it.
You've actually seen it, sir?
Through a telescope, I've seen green patches. I'm sure those patches mean plant life. I've also seen geometric lines which appear to be canals. Some scientists believe that the canals were formed by natural causes, but some do not.
Now, you mean they might have been made by humans?
By humans or unknown beings strangely like humans. Mars is fascinating to me. Almost as fascinating as the planet Pluto.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tombaugh is the only man alive who has actually discovered a new planet. In 1930, it was he who discovered Pluto.
For that, I can thank a great astronomer named Lowell. In 1905, he found that the movements of the planet Uranus were disturbed by a mysterious force. He decided that force was another planet, Planet X.
You mean a planet then unknown to man?
Yes. For 27 years, astronomers searched for it. Planet X had to be singled out from more than 15 million stars. It was like spotting a candle's light flickering 400 miles away.
And yet, you found that tiny light among millions of stars.
Yes. One afternoon in 1930, I was comparing photographs I had taken of a distant part of the sky. Suddenly, I jumped. The photographs showed that one dot had moved 1 million miles. Stars, I knew, scarcely move at all, but planets do. I checked, and there was no mistake. The dot was Planet X. Sunlight is very faint there. That's why we named it after the Greek god of darkness, Pluto.
At the age of 24, then, you solved one of the most thrilling mysteries of the universe, Doctor. Mr. Tombaugh, I know you're now doing rocket research for Army Ordnance at White Sand Proving Ground in New Mexico. Do you suppose we could take one of those rockets and sort of run up to Pluto?
Well, Mr. Seymour, it is 4 billion miles away. We need about 8 million gallons of Gulf gas for the trip.
Well, now, maybe it could be arranged. Incidentally, no chance of arranging a football game up there?
Not a chance. The entire planet is frozen solid. I think we'll have to leave Notre Dame home. But maybe we could take Sonia Haney instead.
love stories sung for the glittering audiences opening night at the Metropolitan Opera House. Love arias from Tristan, Tannhäuser, and Lohengrin, sung by the greatest heroic tenor of our time. But few know that he cherishes a romance of his own, a romance which, set to music, would make an opera comparable to the best. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Gulf Oil's next guest, Lawrence Melchior. You know, Mr. Melchior, the American public is always intrigued by a story of boy meets girl, so let's give them all the details.
Oh, to begin with, I'm the boy. I may not look it now, but I was once a boy.
And who was the girl?
Oh, she was a movie actress, and she still looked like a young girl.
At the time?
25 years ago.
The place?
Munich. I stayed in a house with a very large garden, which I used for my rehearsals. One day, when I was rehearsing my Wagner, I suddenly could not hear my own voice.
Oh, why? What had happened?
An airplane flew over. Since I do not like to compete with motors, I stopped singing. When it had passed, I started over again, this time with a very beautiful song called For You Alone.
And then?
And while I am singing, a parachute drops down at my feet with a beautiful girl tied out to it.
A beautiful girl had jumped from a plane and with a parachute and landed at your feet?
That's exactly what happened. As I bent down to see if there was anything wrong, I still was singing, Take Thou These Rose. The girl gave me a puzzled look and said, please, I don't need a rose, I need help. So I unwrapped her and helped her into the house.
Well, now, Mr. Melchior, was she hurt?
Not a scratch. Then in the house, she asked me to finish the song.
Mr. Melchior, where is that girl now?
She's right down there in the audience. And I call her Kleinchen, that means little one. And now, as my wife, I like to do what I did for 25 years ago. Sing for her, For You Alone. Take all these roses, these little tender roses, their rarest flow in all God's garden fair, and let it be while yet its crimson glows, an emblem of the love I proudly bear. That love thee well, and let it flame before thy shrine my own. Take thou this heart, oh, your dear eyes tell, what passion it for thee alone, what passion it for thee, alone, oh, passion it for thee
With winter coming, a lot of you car owners face pretty rough going. Wet, muddy roads in the south, snow and slush in the north. So tonight, we'd like to show you some important reasons why it pays to have Gulf mud and snow tires on your car. First, traction. The exclusive tread is especially designed to take a firm hold in soft going or in snow. The 600 by 16 Gulf mud and snow tire has 42% greater tread depth than the conventional tire. And here's something else. The outer cleats run partway up the sidewall. So in deep snow or on a soft, muddy road, the more traction you need, the more you get. The Gulf Mud and Snow tire has an extra wide tread, for instance. The 600 by 16 size is almost 17% wider than the conventional tire. So there's more biting tread on more ground area for better going. Stop at your Gulf dealers tomorrow for Gulf Mud and Snow tires. They mean better traction, safer driving on winter roads. For the life of your car, go Gulf. Hail Columbia, College Joes and Co-eds celebrating a day off. Who gave it to them? Columbia's famous professor, Gulf Oil's next guest, who measured the dimensions of the atom and won the 1949 Nobel Prize for Physics, Dr. Hideki Yukawa. I suppose, Dr. Yukawa, that when you got the news that you won the Nobel Prize, you gave your Columbia students the day off to share your happiness.
No, I gave them the day off because I could not teach. Messages came from many parts of the world. The excitement frightened me. If I ever win the Nobel Prize a second time, I am dead.
Well, Dr. Yukawa, when did you first start to measure the dimensions of the atom?
15 years ago, in Kyoto University in Japan. Many nights I was so tired from my studies, I could not sleep. Instead, I spent my time thinking. Sometimes I thought of a crazy thing. But one night I thought of something that is very unusual and true.
And ladies and gentlemen, that nighttime discovery was the theory of the meson, a previously unknown particle which holds the center of the atom together. It's startling to realize that Dr. Yukawa's discovery may yet unlock the secret to all the energy in the universe.
Yes, the meson, a tiny particle, but very important. I received congratulations from General Eisenhower, President of Columbia University, from my good friend, the American scientists, Oppenheimer and Einstein. But my two sons, they are not impressed.
Well, now, why aren't your sons impressed, Dr. Yukawa?
The other day, a bookcase came to the house. It was in parts, and I could not put it together. I called my boys and told them to do it. They said, "Father, you have such a mechanical mind. Why do you not have mechanical hands?"
Well, Doctor, even if you can't fix bookcases, your family should be mighty proud of you as we are.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. As a scientist, I am not searching for a new atom bomb. I devote myself to find new ways to benefit mankind. We are no more living only in Japan or France or England and America. We are living in one world. We scientists must work for peace, peace for all the people of the world.
He was an All-American end in 1889. A coach for 41 years at the University of Chicago. Then they retired him for age. But he wouldn't stay retired. He couldn't come to us, so we went to him. We went down to Haverford, Pennsylvania for an exclusive interview. Listen as Gulf Oil brings you a football pioneer, 87 years young, celebrating his 60th anniversary as a coach. Amos Alonzo Stagg.
Well, it seems like I'm the last of the Mohicans. The great Rockney and Hurry Up Yost are gone. And some say I'm living on borrowed time, too. Well, if I am, I aim to keep sparring for a long while yet.
You know, it seems sort of ironic that most of the officials who retired you in 1932 are now retired themselves while you're still going strong, sir.
Well, they wanted to give me an honorary position, but I had promised my Creator in my youth that I would work with young men as long as I still had vitality. So I accepted the opportunity to coach at the College of the Pacific.
And under your leadership, this small college in Stockton, California, challenged and beat such powerhouses as California and UCLA. But then in 1946, you heard that old familiar song again, Too Old, Mr. Stagg.
Yes, I was again asked to take an honorary position. I gave the same answer I had given 14 years before. Then I went to coach Susquehanna here in Pennsylvania. Only now I've got a partner, my son, Amos Alonzo Stagg, Jr.
And there again you said football history because you're the first father-son coaching combination, aren't you, Mr. Stagg, Jr.?
Yes. My father is like Old Man River. He has hardly changed in 30 years. He still demonstrates football technique, and he still has his partner, my mother.
An assistant coach, eh?
Yeah.
Your mother met your father when she was a co-ed at Chicago 55 years ago, didn't she?
Yes, she did. They were married, and he took her on his honeymoon, and along with him, he took the entire team.
Is that right,
California.
Mr. Stagg?
Yes, I did. I took 16 boys along with me on my honeymoon.
The whole team on the honeymoon. How did that happen to come about?
Well, we were to play Stanford at San Francisco. And that was the first time that any team had played across the Rockies. And I took her along with the boys. I felt that trip was the only opportunity for a honeymoon we'd have.
Well, Mr. Stagg, during your own undergraduate career at Yale, you were an All-American player and you were studying for the ministry, weren't you?
Yes, but then I decided I was better fitted to teach boys from the athletic field instead.
And these men have credited you as one of the inspirations in their success.
If that's true, it's because they learned through football courage and perseverance. A man must learn also self-sacrifice to be worth his salt. Today, commercialism has spread like a disease on many college campuses. I myself would lose every game rather than pay a college athlete a penny. I've always taught that football is not an end in itself. It is only a training ground where boys can learn to be better men and better citizens of our great and beloved country.
One month ago, we the people heard an appeal from the creator of Perry Mason, famed mystery writer Earl Stanley Gardner. In behalf of Argosy Magazine's Court of Last Resort, we heard him plead for the freedom of a doomed man serving a life sentence for a murder he never committed. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight Gulf Oil's next guest is that man. A free man now, thanks to the help of Argosy's Court of Last Resort. Louis Gross, would you tell us your story, Mr. Gross?
It started on November 17, 1932, the day the police discovered the body of Matilda Abrahams, and who had been murdered. I spent 17 years in jail for that murder. And Mr. Seymour, I never met that man in my life.
You'd never met him, Mr. Gross?
No. I met his wife just once. The police arrested her and a friend of hers, a man named Sam Hazimi. 11 days later, they arrested me.
Well, now, why did they arrest you?
To this day, I don't know. They let Hazimi go. They said Mrs. Abrahams hired me to kill her husband, but they feed her too.
Well, then how could they hold you, Mr. Gross?
Hazimi told the police that I had confessed to the murder. Later, he admitted the charge was trumped up, but I was sentenced to life in prison. I was only 34 years old. I thought I would go crazy, thinking of my wife and baby.
Well, wasn't there anything your wife or friends could do?
They tried, Mr. Seymour, but it takes money to fight, and we just didn't have any. After a year, I asked my wife to divorce me so she could try to build a life of her own.
And then you decided to study law as best you could, to plead your own case. And finally, in 1943, I believe, you were allowed to appear before a court.
Yes, I had letters from a police captain and from the assistant prosecutor. Both believe I've been unjustly convicted.
But still, you weren't set free?
No, I was kept in jail for almost 7 years more. I got TB.
You got tuberculosis in jail?
Yes, and last January, while I was in a prison hospital, I heard about the Argosy magazine, the court of last resort. I wrote them, so did my chaplain. They printed our letters.
And the response from the readers was so great that the prosecuting attorney, for the first time in the history of Michigan, moved to reopen the trial. All the records had disappeared. No trace of them. But this new trial took 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, Louis Gross was declared innocent and set free. Mr. Gross, do you have a theory as to who murdered Mortato Abrahams?
Yes, Mr. Seymour, I certainly do. He still walks in the streets of Detroit. A murder who took away 17 years of my life. I am 51 years old now.
And what are your future plans, Mr. Gross?
First, I got to rest and regain my health. But even before that, I'd like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to the people who helped me. My years in prison seems like a terrible nightmare. I thank you all, and I thank God. At last, I am free.
You know, a little while ago, we showed some reasons why you can count on Gulf mud and snow tires to give you traction you'll need this winter. Now we'd like to point out some other advantages, too. Some other advantages that this great tire gives you. For instance, longer wear.
We have a big balancing scale on our Gulf stage tonight. On one side of the scale is the actual tread rubber stock used in a 600 by 16 Gulf mud and snow tire. On the other, the tread rubber stock used in a comparable conventional tire. Now, the tread rubber in this Gulf tire outweighs that in the conventional tire, of course. But notice by how much. 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds. Yes, more than 3 pounds of extra rubber. And that, plus the extra wide tread, means plenty of mileage. In fact, you city folks ought to be able to get several winters' use from a single pair of Gulf mud and snow tires.
Now, I'd like to point out, too, that many Gulf dealers offer substantial trade-in allowance. And if you have a Gulf credit card, you can buy a pair and pay for them in 3 equal monthly installments with no extra charge for this privilege. Remember, for greater traction, long mileage, get Gulf mud and snow tires tomorrow at your good Gulf dealers. This winter, for the life of your car, go Gulf.
Order in the court. The next case, the people of New York versus the corn cobblers. Defendants are charged with disturbing the peace by making noise with the following exhibits. Exhibit A, a gas pipe. Exhibit B, a duck quacker. Exhibit C, a washboard. How do you plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor. That ain't noise, that's music.
Music? You bet your life. Music was on trial the other day in Manhattan. Listen now to the story behind the fifth freedom, the freedom to make noise. Gulf Oil presents the musical men of destiny, the 6 corn cobblers. Stanley Fritz, spokesman. Mr. Fritz, what were you doing on the night of October 23rd, 1949?
Wasn't doing nothing, just playing some music, and a cop hauled us all in.
Now, to be more specific, weren't you driving up Broadway to the world-famous Iceland restaurant, playing Pony Boy with a washboard, cowbells, horns, and a duck quacker?
Well, sure, that's the only way to play Pony Boy. After all, what is it without sound effects? You know something? They give realism to music. I got an idea. How about us giving you a little sample?
All right, let's have it.
What do you say? Come on, boys. Now, here's what we was playing when that policeman had the nerve to call it noise. Come on, here we go.
I just wouldn't know what to call that.
Well, I know one thing, that we'd have sure been in the jug right now if it hadn't been for our star witness. And boy, he's a real pal of music, and I want you to meet him. By the way, he's an honorary corn cobbler now.
Really?
Lawrence Melchior.
Well, Mr. Melchior. And here he is, dressed just for the part. In blue jeans, straw hat, red neckerchief. Boy, oh boy, you really look like a corn cobbler. What did you tell the judge, Mr. Melchior?
Oh, I told the court that very often that music was the composer were living ahead of their time. When critics first heard Wagner's music, they called it noise. But later Wagner was accepted. And now saw someone call him old-fashioned.
Well, pardon me, Mr. Melchior, but we sort of been whipping up a little arrangement here on a tune called Home in the Range. You know, we sure would be mighty proud if you'd join us.
I reckon, boys. I only hope we finish at the same time. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, with two old pipes around his neck, here comes the new honorary member of the Corn Cobblers with Home on the Range.
That's fine, Mr. Melchior.
Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have had some fun, and now we can be a little serious, too. I think it's wonderful to belong to this country where people have freedom and expressing themselves as they like. This is a country that has a real sense of humor. Only here can we do like we have just done. Believe me, we have very much to be thankful for. Good night.
We the people speak. Now, this is Dan Seymour inviting you to join us again next week to meet the man with 1 million friends, the Toastmaster General of the United States, George Jessel. And you'll meet the Texas Ranger of the Gridiron, the greatest forward passer in history, Slingin' Sammy Baugh. All with the Oscar Bradley Orchestra next week. But now a message from Gulf.
Car owners, don't be fooled by mild fall weather. Winter is coming fast with bad driving conditions. Have Gulf mud and snow tires put on your car tomorrow. They run quietly, even on dry paved roads, thanks to a center riding bar and exclusive tread design. And you'll be set for the bad weather headed your way. Remember, if you have a Gulf credit card, you can pay for a set in 3 equal monthly installments with no extra charge for this privilege. Get Gulf mud and snow tires tomorrow at your good Gulf dealers.
Before we say goodnight, I'd like to just take a moment to read a telegram that makes all of us here feel very proud. It's to Dan Seymour, We the People, New York City. The Newark, New Jersey Star-Ledger has chosen We the People as the outstanding human interest television and radio program of 1949. Congratulations to your sponsor, the Gulf Oil Company, and We the People. Gentlemen, We the People, thank you. And don't forget to join us again next week to meet Georgie Jessel and Sammy Baugh, all with the Oscar Bradley Orchestra, when the Gulf Oil Companies and your neighborhood good Gulf dealer present We the People.
For the life of your car, go Gulf.
Now, William Bendick stars in The Life of Riley on NBC.
Weird circle. In this cave by the restless sea, we are met to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird. Bellkeeper, toll the bell, so that all may know we are gathered again in the weird circle.
Phantoms of a world gone by, speak again the immortal tale, the Great Plague.
My name's C. Farrow, and as I've often said, I'm willing to learn. Learn to do anything, as long as I can earn me enough to keep a roof over me head and food in me stomach. It was at lunchtime yesterday that I first came to this blasted town of Newport in Monmouthshire and took myself to the nearest inn to see about a bite for the inner man. I stood at the doorway looking in, and who do I see but me old friend and pal, Grigsby, the greatest thief whatever lived. Yes, it was Grigsby, looking as if he'd never slept on a London bench in his life, eating as full and hearty a meal as I've ever seen. At the same time I sees him, he sees me, and he shouts, "Farrow! Well. Grigsby, my boy, you're looking as well as the Prince of Wales."
I'm fit. Yes, fit, Farrow.
Fit for what?
For whatever you got in that pig-like mind. Sit down, Farrow, sit down. I've been looking for a man like you. I want to meet a friend of mine. Bender, this is C. Farrow.
Glad to meet you. Cheery sort of bloke. What?
Oh, he ain't very cheery, but you get used to him. You have to. He's a friend of mine.
Why not? Since you're asking the question, Mr. Bender, you're the one that must answer it, eh?
Have you eaten lunch yet, Farrow?
Lunch, is it now? Getting swank, huh? I haven't had a morsel in 3 days.
Broke again, Farrow, eh? You'll never learn to make your way in this world. You ought to make some plans for yourself.
I try, Grigsby. Honest, I do.
Bender.
Yep.
Show this bloke how to pick a pocket, eh?
Well, it's simple. Look at the table next to the bar. See the old man there? That's old Peter. He's the caretaker for the largest house in town. He always carries the keys to the silver closet and his money in his left-hand pocket.
Why his left pocket?
He's left-handed.
Live and learn, Farrow. Live and learn.
Now, all I have to do is walk by him, pass the time of day pleasant-like, pick his pocket, and we'll all have lunch money, and my friend Grigsby will have the silver closet keys.
A very important item.
Ooh, what if you get caught?
Bender caught. Never. I taught him how to do it. Now, watch and learn, me boy. I'll make something out of you yet.
I'm watching.
Go ahead, Bender.
Keep your eye on me. I'll be right back.
See the way he walks across the room, just as if he doesn't care? Swaggering, swinging his shoulders like?
Yes, I'm watching. He walks easy.
Nah, look. He stops at the man's table, talks a while, smiling all the time.
What's he saying?
How should I know, Fanner? Don't matter what a man says. What matters is he's just saying it. Now, watch his hand there. Stealing into the left pocket there. He's got it.
He has for a fact. Yeah, he's got the wallet. And the keys, too. Oh, it's quite a trick.
Yes, quite a trick. And I taught it to him. If you want to learn something, Fatto, I told you before, stick to Grigsby and you make a mint of money. I got big plans for myself this night with old Peter's silver closet keys. Should I count you in?
As I've said before, and I'm saying it again, I'm willing to learn. So I stuck with Grigsby and Bender. We left the inn in the late afternoon. Grigsby had big plans on his mind, it seems. He was walking fast down the village road toward the biggest house in the town. Me and Bender was walking behind.
Come on, you two. Get a move on, will you?
Can't walk faster than the legs will go.
Having you two on my hands, I'll never get anything done tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry, Grigsby, but I'm hurrying as best I can. What are you up to?
Look at the end of the road there. That's the house ahead of us. You know who that house belongs to?
How should I know?
It belongs to the richest family in the old county.
The family's out of town, I hear.
That's right, Bender. Family's out of town. And the only person living there is old Peter and his young granddaughter, Evie.
Imagine. Old Peter alone with a young child.
Yes, imagine. An old man and a young girl without any protection.
What are you thinking of, Grigsby?
Oh, a simple plan, Fatto. I've been working on this plan for days. A plan to steal the silver. It's worth a fortune, and it's easier than taking candy from a baby.
Now I see why you stole the keys.
Well, there's the house. We have to wait around here till midnight. When midnight comes, I'll knock on the door, and old Peter will open it. And then Bender here clubs him over the head. And I goes in, gets the silver and the money, and we leave town.
What about the child?
That's where you come into the plan, Fatto. You're a little fellow. Good at crawling through windows.
What do I do when I get through the window?
Find the child and get her out of the way before she starts to shriek and holler.
I ain't no child murderer, Grigsby. I ain't.
I gotta teach you the hard way, Fatto, or you never learn at all.
But
Don't butt me, Fatto, or I'll cut your throat for you.
I'll cut his throat for him.
You heard him, Fatto. Bender's good at cutting throats. I taught him.
But I got a wife and kid of me own. I can't go fighting little children.
Use the knife, Bender.
Good idea.
No, wait a minute. Now, don't be hasty. I never was a man not to change my mind.
Change his mind. So you'll change your mind, eh?
I thought you'd come to my way of looking at it. Yeah, look over there. Playing in the yard. It's the little girl herself, all alone. Now, if you're smart, Fatto, you'll take a word of advice.
I don't think I need no advice right now.
You might need it this evening when we start to work. Now, talk to the little girl for a while. Find out what room she lives in. And you might even ask what kind of silver the family's hoarding.
Oh, she's a pretty little thing. Look at her, playing by herself, nice as you please. Like a regular little lady.
It's easier to kill a child than a grown-up. They die easy, fast.
Go on, Bender, don't joke with a bloke. He's getting pale.
Go on, Fatto. Are you going to talk to her, or do I have to convince you with me knife?
I'll talk to her.
We'll just sit over on the side of the road and watch you.
I don't need no watching.
We'll watch anyway. Just walk right up to her and speak.
Hello, little girl.
Who are you?
Who am I? Why, I'm a friend of yours.
Do you know my grandfather, old Peter?
No, not personally, but I've heard of him.
Do you know my name?
Now, what is your name?
Evie. I live in that house over there.
It's a right nice house, Evie. Which room is your room?
Don't you know?
Should I?
Of course, everybody knows Evie's room. Grandfather says it's 'cause it's a special safe room just for me. Guardian angels watch over me all the time.
Of course. Where is your room?
On the second floor in the back of the building right over the kitchen entrance. There's a special porch off my room.
A porch?
Yes. Now I told you about me. What about you? What's your name?
My name's C. Farrow.
C. Farrow? That's a funny name. Where do you live?
Any place I can find for me to live. On the grass or in a haystack, in an alley, in a doorway of a shop.
Is there a second floor for you to sleep on in all these places?
I suppose so, Evie.
I like you. Wish I could stay with you longer, but I can't.
Well, where are you going?
Home. My grandfather told me to come in promptly at 5 or I'll catch cold. He worries about me awful. He always does. Goodbye, Steve Farrell.
Goodbye, Evie.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye, Evie. Goodbye. Ah, pretty little girl she is.
Nice work, Fado. Quite nice work.
If I say so myself, I couldn't have done a better job. One would almost think the little girl liked you.
One would, eh? Well, maybe she did.
That don't make no difference now. We'll just take a look around the grounds and then wait. Now, Bender, wait till midnight. Stick around, Fado. You're going to learn something tonight.
Till midnight. Might even get a few hours sleep.
Grigsby led the way, and as I said, I'm willing to learn. As we walked around the ground, I kept looking at the second floor, and my heart sunk. Child killing. It just ain't in my line. For an hour or so, Grigsby studied the land, and then he led us to a little grove on one side of the field, where we sat down to wait. Bender, the big fella, fell asleep. Grigsby kept one eye on me and one eye on the house, and all of a sudden, I realized it was starting to rain. But, rain or no rain, we just waited and waited until the church clock struck 12. Bender was fast asleep when Grigsby said,
Bender. Hey, Bender, wake up. It's midnight now.
Midnight. So soon. Blast me if it ain't raining.
It's been raining for hours. We ought to forget the old thing.
We ain't forgetting nothing. Come on, Fado. Get on your feet and get a move on.
I'm on my feet.
Ready, Bender?
I'm right behind you, Grigsby.
Well, follow me, both of you.
The ground is wet, Grigsby. Not a night to do this job. I'm superstitious about the rain.
Shut up.
Well, I am.
Well, gentlemen, there's the house right ahead of us. Imagine everyone's sound asleep. Fado.
Yes, Grigsby?
We'll walk you to the back of the house and give you a boost up over the ledge of the kitchen porch.
Yes, Grigsby.
Go on. Get a move on.
I'm moving.
Shh, both of you.
There's the porch. You think you can climb it, Fado?
I don't know. Honest, I don't.
You better now. Climb up on that ledge and stay there until you hear me pound on the front door.
Then what?
When I pound on that door, climb in that open window and take care of that kid.
She won't feel nothing. Just one quick jab in the heart and she's dead. Here, Fado. Just as a special favor to you, I'll lend you my own knife. Well, go on, take it.
Yes, all right, I will.
Well, Fado, you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be, I suppose.
Climb on me back and I'll give you a boost to the ledge.
Now, don't forget, Fado, if that child ain't dead, you will be.
Bender kneeled down, and Grigsby helped me stand on the big man's back. I grasped one pole of the porch, which was just beneath the child's window, and then, pulling myself up inch by inch, I climbed from the ground to the roof of the porch. The pole was wet and slippery, and my fingers were cut by splinters when I reached the porch. Panting and breathless, I just crouches there, waiting. I see Grigsby and Bender walk slowly around to the front of the house. Then I notice the window, right in front of me eyes, with little white curtains blowing back and forth, and it brings a tear to my eye. Then I notice a little white bed inside the room, but the room's too dark and I can't see the child nowhere. It seems to me the whole world's quiet, and my breathing's as loud as an elephant's. When I hears...
Open up, old man! Open up! I'm telling you to open up the door! Wake up, old Peter, wake up! Hey, you old Peter, wake up before I pound the door down! Are you dead? Well, open up!
He sleeps like a log.
He's playing the fox, I'll guarantee, pretending to be asleep. Wait a minute. If you don't wake up, I'll smash the door!
Gentlemen!
Where is he, Grigsby?
Up there in that window, right over your head.
Oh, there you are, you dimwit. Come on down and open up this here door.
Gentlemen, why do you come to wake up honest people at this hour of the night?
Stop playing the game, old Peter. Your time has come. If you don't open up this door right away.
My time? You mean to kill me?
If you don't open up the door...
Gentlemen, I'm afraid you're too late. A crueler fate than murder has taken the breath from my body.
What are you talking about?
You'll see. I'll open up the door, but you'll wish to heaven you'd never visited this house. I'll be right down.
What's he talking about, Grigsby?
I'm not quite sure, Bender. Not quite sure.
I wonder how that fool Fatto's done.
Oh, he's done his job. Find out Fatto. I wonder how long he'll keep us waiting in this rain here.
If he don't answer soon, we'll break in the window on the side of the house.
Oh, there he is.
Come in. Come into the light where I can see you. Oh, woe unto you, gentlemen, for trespassing this house tonight.
What are you talking about anyway?
Look at my face, gentlemen. The black rings under my eyes, and the black splotches on my arms. Do you have any idea what that is?
Black rings. Black splotches.
Blimey, Grigsby. It's the plague. The Black Plague.
Yes, the Black Plague. That's what it is. This afternoon, late this afternoon, my little granddaughter came in from play. Within 4 hours, she was dead.
Evie dead?
Come in, gentlemen. Look. There she lies on the stairs.
Grigsby, look.
Look well, gentlemen, because within the half hour, I should be lying by her side. Oh, the pain. Oh, the pain.
It's the plague, Grigsby. I've seen them before.
Run, gentlemen. Run to the tanning factory and breathe in the healing fumes of the tannery. The smell of the tan bark and the leather have curative powers. It's too late for me. But if you wish to spare yourself the horrible suffering of the plague, go. Go at once to the tannery and stay there as long as you can. Oh, the pain. My flesh. The pain. Oh, the pain. Help me, gentlemen. Help me. The pain.
Don't touch me, Peter. Come on, Bender. The tanner's factory. As fast as we can run. As fast as we can run.
Where's Fatto?
I'm right behind you, Bender. I've heard. It's the Black Plague, and nothing can save us.
Nothing but the air of the tannery. Let's get there. Hurry. Bender.
Aye.
You sit here, next to me on this pile of tanning waste.
Right.
Fatto?
Yes.
You sit next to him and all breathe together now. Odd. 1, 2, 3.
Are you sure the fumes from this tanning vat are good for the Black Plague? I've heard nothing can cure you once you've touched someone who's had it.
Oh, I never touch Al Peter. Did you, Bender?
Never once. Not even tapped him lightly on the shoulder.
But I touched the child.
You?
Yes, and right after that, I touched Bender. Remember Bender?
Then I must have it too. Look at me, Grigsby. How do I look?
Not so well, as a fact.
I don't feel well either. Not well at all.
Your face does look sort of Wouldn't you say bloated, Grigsby?
I've got it. I've got the plague. That's what I've got. If Pharaoh must have it too.
But nobody touched me. Nobody. Nobody, Ben. I'm still all right.
You won't be for long, Grigsby.
What are you talking about?
I'm going to die. But you ain't going to live. You got us into this. I'll rub my hands on your face. That's what I'll do. Rub my hands on your face.
No, you don't, you. Give me that knife, Pharaoh.
Here, Grigsby.
Don't give it to him, Pharaoh.
I got it now. And if you come near me, Bender, you know what'll happen to you.
What's the difference now? The plague or the knife makes no difference to me either way.
Stay away from me.
I won't stay away from you, Grigsby. My hands are covered with a disease, and it'll soon be on your face.
You pig, you dog. I'll teach you.
You'll teach me what?
The knife. The knife.
Don't you?
That'll take care of him for a long time to come.
Bender's dead. And we'll be with him in a short time, Grigsby.
Oh, the plague. The Black Plague. What can I do, Pharaoh?
I don't know rightly, Grigsby. I'm just sitting here watching you, waiting to see. Maybe I'll learn something.
The leather scraps. Maybe if I rub myself with the leather scraps. Maybe if I... Pharaoh, I don't want to die. Not yet. I don't want to die. I'm the greatest thief that ever lived. Clever, too. Nobody ever beat Grigsby before, nobody.
Nobody ever did before, Grigsby.
Well, they ain't going to this time. No, they ain't.
Well, maybe the Black Plague's got more power than you have. You can't fight the plague, Grigsby.
Is me face turning black?
I can't rightly tell yet.
Me eyes. How do me eyes look?
Red and swollen.
Any black rings around them?
Oh, give it time. It takes time for the Black Plague to grow.
Time.
If you'll sit still, it won't be half as painful to die.
Maybe if I breathe deeply.
That won't do any good.
What? Do I have to die?
I guess you do. But don't worry. You'll have plenty of warning before you die. The pain will tell you. The screaming pain.
The pain. The screaming pain.
And then Grigsby collapsed, crying like he was a baby. I sat there for 1 whole hour, watching Grigsby. Bender was dead. As the time slowly passed and the night became morning, I noticed a group of men heading toward us. They were carrying guns, and I poked Grigsby in the ribs. Hi, Grigsby, somebody's coming.
What's the difference now, Pharaoh?
You'll find out.
Hello over there.
Hello.
Mr. Grigsby. Mr. Grigsby.
What's he want?
I don't know. Ask him.
I'm Mr. Grigsby.
Oh, yes, Grigsby. And are you Mr. Pharaoh?
That's what they call me.
And the man with the knife in him is Mr. Bender, I presume.
You'll have to take my word for it. You can't ask a dead man no questions.
Gentlemen, in the name of the law, you're under arrest. Seize them, boys.
Wait a minute. Arrested? For what? For what am I arrested?
For what? For housebreaking and plotting against the life of a child. And now it's for murder.
How do you know all these things?
How do I know? He told me.
Old Peter?
Yes, I told him, Mr. Grigsby.
You told him? I thought you were dead of the Black Plague.
I know you did. I wanted you to think so. It took a lot of trouble painting on black spots with kitchen charcoal.
Charcoal? Let me go. Let me go.
I wouldn't try that, Mr. Grigsby.
But Levy, she was dead of the plague. I saw her myself lying on the steps, dead as can be.
Evie was sound asleep in her own bed. You saw a dressmaker's dummy wrapped in cloth and smudged with charcoal lying on the steps.
And I thought I was dying, that's what I thought. Bender thought he was dying, too. You, Pharaoh. You were the one who told us we had the plague. You did. You were the one who gave me the knife to kill Bender.
I always told you, Grigsby, I'm willing to learn.
You climbed through the window to kill the child, yes. You must have known. She wasn't dead.
Yes, I knew she wasn't dead. She was lying in her bed, smiling at me as I came through the window. Smiling and laughing. And she told me where to find her grandfather.
Find him?
Yes, find him. And the two of us got together and got an idea. An idea about the plague. Me knowing how afraid you always are of being sick.
You double-crossed me, that's what. I promised I'd kill if you double-crossed me,
Yeah, come along, Grigsby, and you're under arrest. And you too, Pharaoh. Take them away, boys.
Mr. Officer, don't take Mr. Farrow away. See, Farrow's my friend.
I don't think there's any charge against Farrow, Mr. Officer.
I'll kill Come on, Grigsby. There's a nice jail cell waiting for you.
I'll get you for this someday, Farrow, that I will.
Drag them away, boys, and don't waste any more time with him. Oh, Miss Evie.
Yes, Mr. Officer.
I have a special job for you. From now on, Mr. Farrow here is in your charge.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Officer. I like C. Farrow.
And I like you too, Evie.
Grandpa, can we ask Mr. Farrow to my birthday party today?
I don't see why not, Evie, child. I think he deserves a piece of birthday cake. Oh, well, blimey, it hasn't been a long time since my mouth tasted birthday cake. What do you intend to do in this town, Mr. Farrow? Settle down here and get employment? I'll do anything, old Peter. Anything, as long as I've enough to keep a roof over my head and food in my stomach. If you've got any ideas, I'm willing to learn. I think I might have some ideas, Mr. Farrow. It's just possible that Evie and I both might.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have brought to you the immortal tale, The Great Plague. Bellkeeper, toll the bell.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have heard another immortal tale in The Weird Circle. Bellkeeper, toll the bell. Be here in this lonely cave by the restless sea once again next time for another immortal tale in The Weird Circle.
Whispering Streets. And here is Hope Winslow.
Hello. Technically, the whispering streets of the heart are the arteries that pump the blood into it and hurry the blood out of it. But I like to think that the heart's real whispering streets are the ones that project human kindness and give out tenderness. The superintendent of nurses in a big hospital has need of tenderness and human kindness, even when she's away from the hospital. As Anna Callahan stood in front of her apartment door, fitted a key into the lock, she was preoccupied. She scarcely heard the door across the hall opening. She started violently when a voice spoke her name.
Good evening, Miss Callahan.
Good evening, Mr. Borden.
I heard you coming along the hall. Thought it might be the boy with the evening paper. You look tired, Miss Callahan.
I am tired.
Come into my apartment. I'll fix you a cup of coffee.
No, I wouldn't be good company. I have too much on my mind tonight.
If you feel strange about drinking coffee in a man's apartment, just say so.
Well, in a way, I do.
All right. Then we'll leave the door open. That'll placate Mrs. Grundy. This is the 7th time I've invited you for a cup of coffee, Miss Callahan. I'll catch you off guard yet? Or maybe someday you'll invite me to your apartment.
Perhaps someday I will. Good night, Mr. Borden. Reed Borden stood staring at his neighbor's tightly shut door with a rueful smile on his mouth. After a moment, he shrugged and closed his own door. It he muttered something about women who were too darned absorbed in their jobs, you can't blame him. But this evening, Anna's mind was occupied with someone who was a part of, and yet apart from, her job. Just an hour ago, she pushed open the door of a hospital.
Well, Don,
How are we today?
all right, I guess, Miss Callahan.
Oh, you look fine. You'll be sitting up before long.
I'm trying hard to sit up.
Oh, that's why you're making progress. Well, shall we gab for a while?
You bet. I sort of wait all day for our gab fest, Miss Callahan.
I believe we're sweet on each other. You know, you might have been my son, Don, if I'd been lucky enough to have a son.
Oh, you're much too young to have a 12-year-old son like me. I don't remember my mother or my pop either.
You lived with an aunt before you came here, didn't you?
Uh-huh. Aunt May has 5 kids of her own. She's been counting years until I was 16 so I could get a job. And now that I'm without legs, I suppose Aunt May won't want me back. I'll be hard to take care of. She'll have to wait on me hand and foot until I get used to the artificial legs, if I ever get used to them. I've been thinking about it lots.
Oh, well, don't think about it too much, Don. Just let things drift.
It isn't hard to let things drift during the day, Miss Callahan, but when night comes, there are places, aren't there, Miss Callahan, where they send boys like me?
Well, yes, there are homes.
Charity homes, where the relatives don't have to pay. Aunt May was here a while ago during visiting hours.
Did she say anything to upset you?
Not especially. She just said what I already knew. I don't blame her. She has her own kids. It's only right that they should come first. I'd just be a drain.
Oh, don't talk about being a drain. I brought you a couple of books, Don.
Oh, gee, thanks.
And I talked to the lady down at the gift shop on the main floor. She's got a sample radio, and she'll lend it to you gladly.
Oh, everyone's so nice in this hospital. I hate to leave, Miss Callahan.
Oh, that's a great recommendation, Don.
Well, I know what's what here. I know what isn't what. But when I leave the hospital, I won't know for nothing. I guess that happens to most boys, though, when they get to be cripples all of a sudden without any warning.
In just a moment, Hope Winslow will be back again. But first,
French is certainly a romantic language. Can you translate this French phrase?
Vous serez récompensé.
It means you will be rewarded. Now, you may not be stationed where French is spoken, but no matter where you are overseas, you can be sure that you will be rewarded in many ways if you make the effort to learn the language of the country where you are. While overseas, you are a guest of the country in which you're stationed, and therefore have an obligation to the people. You should act in the same way you would expect someone to act who is visiting your country. Friendship is a valuable thing between people and nations. You can make many new friends and help the cause of understanding between the United States and other countries if you learn the language. A new language can be fun, too. So give yourself a break. Yes, you will be rewarded if you learn the language.
and now back to our story with Hope Winslow.
After scores of x-rays and consultations and blood transfusions, Don's legs had been amputated. There was a fund in the hospital for needy accident cases. The surgeon had wangled it so that Don was temporary beneficiary. And during the long days and weeks, he'd become the hospital's pet and Anna Callahan's obsession. She was so preoccupied the next morning that she didn't see her across-the-hall neighbor emerging from his flat as she emerged from hers.
Is anything wrong, Miss Callahan? I spoke and you didn't seem to hear me.
Oh, I didn't see you, Mr. Borden. My mind was...
On your job. Yes?
On one phase of my job.
The janitor tells me you work in a hospital.
Yes, I do. I'm superintendent of nurses.
That must be dreary work for a feminine woman like you. I wouldn't have called you a feminine woman last night, or last week, or last month. But this morning, there's something disarming about you. My car's downstairs at the curb. May I drop you at the hospital?
Why,
I know. You usually take a bus. I also know from experience that the buses are usually crowded at this hour. Don't bite off your nose to spite your face, Miss Callahan.
You're a persistent person, Mr. Borden.
Ever since you moved in across the hall from me, I've had a great desire to be persistent. Driving you to the hospital is the first progress I've made in my very carefully planned campaign.
Oh, I didn't say you could drive me to the hospital.
But I may, Amanda. There, now, you see, you're smiling. It's the first time you've ever smiled. At me?
They went down together in the self-service elevator. They crossed the pavement, and Reed Borden unlocked the door of his car, helped Anna into it, climbed in himself. He threw the car into gear, and then they were worming their way through the 8:30 traffic.
You know, you said something a moment ago that intrigued me.
Yes?
You said that your mind was on one phase of your job. And when you said one phase, your face softened as if by magic. May I be the inquiring reporter and ask you what you were thinking about when you stood in the hall as if you were a sleepwalker? Didn't quite know how you got there? Last night and again this morning.
There's a boy in the hospital. His name's Don.
Yes?
He's just a little over 12, and all of his life is behind him.
Why behind him?
It's hard for a kid to get along without his legs.
Without his legs? A double amputee?
Yes. If only he'd grown up to be a soldier, he'd have gotten a DSC. But he lost his leg saving a smaller child. The youngster was playing in a crowded street, and a truck came roaring around the corner, and Don made a flying tackle and grabbed the youngster around the legs and threw it at the sidewalk.
Was the amputation a must?
Yes, it was. Our chief of staff himself performed the operation. That's the most I can say.
Well, Don's parents will have to make it up to him in some way. In every way.
He hasn't any.
Oh, it's tough.
He can't remember his mother or his father. He was brought up by an aunt.
Well, if she's brought him up, she must be very fond of him, so
she has children of her own. She was looking forward to the time when Don would be a wage earner, when he'd contribute to the family income. She doesn't want him now that he's incapacitated.
Why, what a monster.
No, not a monster. Just a harassed woman, Mr. Borden. There are many such. But Don understands the situation. He knows that his Aunt May's own children must come first.
Then you've discussed the situation with him?
Yes. Yesterday afternoon he was talking about charity homes that take care of crippled boys. Broke my heart to think of him going to a home. I guess we'd better change the subject. I'm getting too emotional.
A woman who works in a hospital as hard as you do shouldn't be so sensitive. Your heart must be broken at least 50 times a day.
No one's ever affected me the way Don does, Mr. Borden. I'll get out at the next corner. You look upset yourself, Mr. Borden. And you don't even know the boy.
Double amputee. tell you why I'm upset. One of these days. Oh, is there anything I can do for Don?
Well, yes, there's one thing you can do. He looks forward to seeing me every day, but tomorrow's my day off, and he'll have a long, lonely afternoon with nothing to look forward to. I know it's asking a lot, Mr. Borden, but if you could drop in tomorrow at some time during the afternoon and
If I could. I can and I will. Give me his full name, Miss Callahan, and his room number.
I'll put it in your mailbox tonight.
All right, I'll look for it. And here's your corner. Worse luck.
Anna Callahan had her usual gab with Don that afternoon. She told him that a man was going to call on him tomorrow as her proxy. And she was glad that his face didn't brighten at the thought of a stranger, glad that he wanted her. She went home, leaving Don's complete name and room number in Reed Borden's mailbox. She prepared a sketchy meal and went to bed surrounded by magazines. But the stories she read made very little sense to her. It was well past midnight when inspiration struck. Holding her heart, she spoke aloud in the stillness.
Oh, I was stupid not to think of it before. Oh, it's been in the back of my brain for ages, but it never came clear until this instant. Oh, why have I wasted so much time?
The next morning, she went downtown, but not to the hospital. To her lawyer, David Creighton, an old friend. He greeted her in a genial fashion.
Oh, good to see you, Anna.
Oh, it's good to see you, Dave.
Looking very well this morning. Pink-cheeked, dewy-eyed, all the rest of it. Nobody take you for a tough superintendent of nurses.
Oh, well, that's a great compliment, Dave.
It was meant to be. Now, what's your problem?
Now, how do you know I have a problem?
If you hadn't a problem, you wouldn't be here.
Oh, touche, David.
So, out with it. You're a busy woman, I'm a busy man.
I know, and I won't take up any more of your time than necessary. You see, Dave, I want to ask you a few questions about legal procedure.
I'm all ears. But I hope you haven't gotten yourself into some sort of a jam, my dear.
Well, I haven't yet. But I may before I'm through. David, I want to adopt a boy.
In just a moment, Hope Winslow will be back.
Suppose for a moment that instead of being one of today's men and women in uniform, you were to go back 100 years and become Billy Yank or Johnny Reb. How was military life during the Civil War? What about pay, for example? Well, it wasn't very much 100 years ago. Yankee privates received only $13 a month during most of the war. Privates in the Confederate Army received only $11 for a month soldiering. Worse yet, payments were often late, sometimes by as much as 6 months. Today's servicemen and women are, of course, properly paid for their efforts. What's more, the payments come on time. Yes, there can be a lot of improvements in 100 years. Today's soldier, sailor, or airman has a far more favorable pay situation than he would have had in the days of Billy Yank or Johnny Reb.
And now, back to our story with Hope Winslow.
David Creighton's bushy eyebrows rose as he stared into Anna Callahan's face. She felt herself blushing. Why, she didn't know. She waited until the bushy eyebrows had come down to their normal position, and then...
Well, you heard me, David.
Why, I thought I heard you, but then I decided I couldn't believe my ears. When did you get the idea of adopting a boy, Anna?
Well, it's quite a long story, but I'll be as brief as possible. When did I get the idea?
Mm-hmm.
It only came to me last night, David. I was lying in bed trying to puzzle things out, and suddenly I had an answer.
Well, is it a young boy? I mean, a little kid, or is it an infant you want to adopt?
Don's 12.
But Good heavens, Anna. How would you handle a boy as old as that? 12's a difficult age, believe me. I have a daughter who's only 15, and she's a mystery to all of us. And a 12-year-old boy can be a real hellion. Some kids, not much older than he, run with gangs.
Don won't be running with any gangs, Dave. He won't be running at all.
Well, what do you mean by that?
He lost both his legs in a street accident. He needs me very badly, Dave. His father and mother are dead, and he loves me, and I love him, so it's just perfect.
Well, that's what you think. Where'd you meet up with this kid? In the hospital, I suppose.
That's right.
Anna, don't you know anything about the adoption laws?
Well, not a thing, Dave. That's why I'm here. Well, of course, I know that the courts have to approve any adoption. And I know there must be financial security and spiritual security. And I know that I must be able to give him an education. And I must prove he'll never be a public charge. And
there must be more than that, my dear. There must be two parents.
What?
An unmarried woman cannot adopt a child. Neither, for that matter, can an unmarried man. I'm sorry, Anna. I didn't mean to upset you.
You didn't mean to upset me. That's a ghastly understatement, Dave.
Oh, come now. Maybe this is just an impulse, a passing fancy.
Oh, no, Dave. I'm not the sort of woman who has whims. You should know that.
Well, you've never had them before, but there's always got to be a first time. Your eyes are filling with tears, Anna. I'm sorry. I wish there was something I could do.
Callahan wandered home desolately. By the time she'd reached her apartment, she felt as if she'd never cry again. She'd suppressed the tears too long. She lay on her bed staring at the ceiling, and hours passed. Suddenly there was a knock on her door, and she struggled up, brushed her hair back from her forehead, and went to open the door.
Hello there, Miss Callahan. Look, I'm in a fix, and I thought that perhaps you could give me a suggestion of sorts, or... Great Scott, Miss Callahan, what in heaven's name have you been doing to yourself?
Anna Callahan, superintendent of nurses, stood staring at her across-the-hall neighbor. And then she moved silently aside, and he came into the foyer, and she shut the door after him. She led the way into the living room, and when they were seated opposite each other...
I've been looking forward to calling on you for a long while, Miss Callahan, but now... Well, the edge has kind of gone off the victory. If it is a victory. I'm so mad I could bite the heads off tacks, and of course it's lousy for the kid, too.
The kid?
Don. I thought about him all last night, Miss Callahan. When you told me about that double amputation, it just hit me right between the eyes. You see, my kid brother lost his legs somewhere in Korea. They did a beautiful amputation. It was a success. But the patient didn't live. It was around midnight, I guess, when I decided to adopt Don.
When you decided to adopt Don?
Yes. If we talk to each other, of course. Well, Don and I talked to each other all right. And I sort of hinted what I had in mind. Then when I left him, I went directly to my lawyer.
And the lawyer pointed out that you were unmarried.
Now, how in the name of common sense...
Thought waves must have been running back and forth across the hall between our apartments around midnight, Mr. Borden. I had the same idea about Don. That I'd adopt him, I mean. I saw my lawyer this morning, and he told me precisely what your lawyer told you, and... Why are you staring at me that way?
Can't you guess why I kept wanting to know you? Though you gave me brush off after brush off? Can't you guess why I've been trying to intrude on your privacy? The first time I saw you, I thought, she's for me. I want him badly. Not half as badly as I want you. When you get to know me, Anna, you may like me very much. I've been told that I grow on people. Anna, you're blushing. That's a good sign, isn't it?
On the way to a home and happiness. Maybe he won't miss two legs so much now that he's going to have two parents. When Anna Callahan went to see her lawyer and friend, David Creighton, he told her that he had a 15-year-old daughter who was a mystery to the whole family. David Creighton, a fine lawyer who wasn't clever enough to analyze or solve a family problem. Until then, this is Hope Winslow saying goodbye from the Whispering Streets.
Today's program was written by Margaret E. Sangster. Featured in the cast was Kathy Lewis as Hope Winslow. Others in today's story were Barbara Eiler, Olin Soule, Dick Beals, and Vic Perrin. Whispering Streets was directed by Gordon T. Hughes and produced by Ted Lloyd. Your announcer is Dan Cubberly.
Whispering Streets has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
The Johnson Wax Program. The makers of Johnson's Wax, Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat, and Johnson's Carnew present the brilliant conductor-composer of melody ranging from symphony to swing, Meredith Wilson, and MGM's noted young commentator, star, and teller of amazing tales, John Nesbitt. And your show, the words of the storyteller and the tunes of the music maker, blended together in a special Wilson-Nesbitt formula for easy entertainment and a new kind of program in the weeks to come. And here to explain things is John Nesbitt.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. For several years, Meredith Wilson and I have been discussing just such a program as the one you're about to hear. No formality, no fanfares, and no hoopla, just as if we were having a musical party in your own home. Heaven help you. And doing the numbers that we would be afraid to do in public. And here we are, orchestra, arrangers, singers, right in your living room and set to start. Meredith Wilson bustles in and, beaming with fatherly pride, is about to introduce one of the finest orchestras in the nation. Meredith.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to introduce our orchestra, ladies and gentlemen, but first I want you to meet Bob Carroll. Somebody stole my gal. And our little feminine singer.
Somebody stole my pal.
That was Connie Haynes. Now the violins with a little Paganini, please. And a dash of the bumblebee. and the brass and possibly a touch of Beethoven. You can say that again. The bass department with a spot of the Second Rhapsody. And our pianist in a splash of Liszt. I beg your pardon?
Something wrong with it. It's too highbrow.
Highbrow? Highbrow? Not at all, John. We'll simply play 20 of these famous classics, one after the other.
Oh, heavens, Meredith. We'll be here till August.
Something of the kind. We'll play all of them in less than 2 minutes. And just to keep from being, as you say, highbrow, we'll play at the same time Somebody Stole My Gal.
Amazing, my dear Wilson.
Quick, Watson, the baton.
That's incredible. 20 classic composers all turning over in their graves at once. What a picture. I clocked you, by the way, at 1 minute, 45 seconds. And here is a new department dedicated to lost music. A number of years ago, Ted Shapiro, the songwriter, hit upon one of the most beautiful melodies he had ever composed. He was employed by Sophie Tucker at the time, and as her pianist, he had to use his new melody as a background, while Sophie wowed the audience with her monologues, and nobody ever paid any attention to the new tune. But it's now 1939. Shapiro has won success, and a picture studio has ordered a new love song from him. He pulls his beautiful melody out of the files and starts to shape it into a popular song. He works all night at his home in Hollywood. At 4 a.m, it begins to work out. By the next afternoon, it's going great. He jumps into a cab, rushes to the studio, and there he plays it for the producer and musical director, and these gentlemen go into a kind of dance of joy and triumph. Best number in years, sure to be a hit. A week later, a 50-piece orchestra records it on film for a super special movie. $20,000 were spent in its production. The picture is finished, cut, and previewed, and then they discover it is too long by a reel and a half. Something must go, and onto the floor of the cutting room went this song, the one that should have been a hit, but never had a chance. It was called A Handful of Stars. And that is the first nomination for our Lost Music Department, A Handful of Stars. After this playing tonight, it might yet become one of the hits of 1942. You know, one of the oddest things we do on radio programs is the way we start to grow mysterious when we come to the sponsor's advertisement. You know, there is a crash of music, a multitude of sound effects, excited screams from the dramatic cast, the orchestra plays like mad, and while everybody's wondering what it's all about, the announcer is swung into the microphone in a boom, the commercial in his hand disguised as a hot communique from headquarters. And at long last, he's able to begin. But if you've listened to Fibber McGee and Molly, you know that the products Harlow Wilcox describes are of actual significant value in this period of national conservation, and they need no excuses whatever. Harlow.
You know, there's one thing I've noticed since I started to cut down on my driving. Whenever I do have to use the car now, I enjoy it more than I used to. I think that's partly because I take better care of the car than I did. Not only the battery and tires, but the finish, too. You know, it's so easy to keep your car new-looking with Johnson's Car New, the modern polish that does two things at once, both cleans and polishes in one application. You don't have to work all afternoon to give your car a showroom shine, not with Car New. This remarkable polish is a liquid. You apply, let it dry, wipe it off. Then, when your car sparkles like new again, you can give the finish added protection and save on car washing by applying a coat of Johnson's Auto Wax or the regular Johnson's Wax. Try this easy way of taking better care of your car's paint job with Johnson's Car New, spelled C-A-R-N-U.
One of the best ways to run across a great human story today is to watch the news very closely. When Mexico declared war recently, for example, out in Hollywood, we all began searching for a story about our new war partner of the South. And we did find many a wonderful true story that we'd never known about before. And although this one will soon appear as one of my own passing parade pictures, I should like to give you a pre-showing of it here. The story of a giant who lived south of the Rio Grande. It is 10 o'clock at night. We are standing in an enormous room in a marble palace in Mexico City. We are soldiers and politicians. We have guns in our hands. We're watching a tiny little man who sits at a desk staring at a piece of paper. The little man is President of Mexico. The piece of paper is his promise to run away, admit that he's made mistakes. We wrote that paper for him, we, the soldiers and politicians. And all he has to do is sign it, and we'll let him go to some other country. Take his wife and family with him, have money, peace, and comfort to the end of his life. All he has to do is sign his name. Of course, if he doesn't sign, there are men with loaded rifles waiting outside, and they know what to do. But the little man doesn't even pick up the pen. He just smiles, stands up, and goes out of this great marble room, out of the marble palace, out into the black night over Mexico, and so we shoot him down like a wild animal. But why should we remember all of this? It happened almost 30 years ago. Yet it had a great deal to do with the fact that we of the United States are not fighting alone today. You see, the little man was Francisco Madero, President of Mexico. And it's a curious story. Madero was a gentleman, owner of estates larger than many American cities, one of the rich men of the world. But one day, it is said, he was attending a fashionable stag party when one of his host's servants, a peon, made a mistake, and so he was struck in the face, and the peon struck back, and so they shot him on the spot. Rich little Madero, who had hundreds of peons himself, had perhaps never troubled to think about them as human beings before, but this thing disturbed him. That night he couldn't sleep, and when he rose in the morning, he had caught a fatal sickness, a disease of the heart that sometimes leads men to glory, sometimes to the firing squad, and sometimes to a cross. In the following month, a mysterious change came over Mexico. came over Mexico. Poor men were heard singing in the fields. Poor men walking proudly to their work. And when the presidential elections fell due that year, every old-fashioned landowner in Mexico was horrified to learn that Francisco Madero was leading the poor, had given up most of his wealth, and was the people's candidate for president. It was as if an earthquake crashed over Mexico. The dictator threw Madero in prison. He escaped. He came to the United States, where he knew we would help him, and we did. A people's army rose up in Mexico, threw out the dictator, and within 6 weeks, little Madero was president of his country. And with the tears streaming down his face, he promised a chance for everyone. He would make Mexico a true democracy before all the world. Poor Francisco Madero. He might have known what would happen. But he believed, you see, in everyone. He wanted the landowners to share their opportunities with the poor, but he didn't want to force them the way a dictator would. He wanted to do his job decently and legally and gradually. So his enemies had time to act. They corrupted the army, they captured Mexico City, and on that night almost 30 years ago, they closed in. Oh, yes. They gave him the chance to run away. Madero chose this. Fill a man full of bullets and you're through with him forever. Forever? No, you're not. You see, before Madero's heart stopped beating, he whispered some words that no roar of gunfire can ever quite drown out. I must do this. I must do this. If I run away, my people will lose faith in the cause of the freedom of all men. They will lose faith in the great tomorrow of my country. They must not forget. That is all that matters. For 30 years, that whisper has gone through Mexico. And it is actually one of the chief reasons that Mexico joins us in our raging battle for freedom today. Francisco Madero, a little man, 5 feet 2 inches tall, but one of the great giants of the passing parade. Wilson has heard our America singing all of his life. Sad tunes and cheerful tunes, sentimental tunes, magnificent hymns and tinkling little ditties and immortal ballads. So Meredith has become a collector of these songs. And tonight he opens his library to us all in a whole group of them. Here they are, utterly different kinds of tunes, with Bob and Connie Haynes and the orchestra, but they all have one thing in common, these tunes. An American memory is locked up in every song.
Encourage me with just a word or two. You needn't say you love me, for I'm pretty sure you don't. But tell me that you like me, and there's nothing that I won't be glad to do. do. Honestly and true, I go along. For you, I do a wrong. For you, because I'm awfully strong for you.
Sunshine peeps through. There's only one thing to do. Just wrap your troubles in dreams and dream your troubles away. Your castles may tumble, that's fate after all. Life's really funny that way. No use to grumble, just smile as they fall. Weren't you king for a day? Just remember that sunshine always follows the rain. So wrap your troubles in dreams and dream your troubles away.
When old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele down in Honolulu, they do the hula hula every evening. There they are, swaying while he's playing his Hawaiian guitar. The ragtime motion, even as the ocean, bobbing up and down. Sometimes the wind gets the feeling flip, wags his tail and does the hula dip. Now old Bill Bailey plays the ukulele down in Honolulu town. Alabama.
Just there on the piano.
No one could sleep way out there on the deep when Billy cut loose out at sea. Each fish and worm begins to twist and squirm. The ship turns into dipping as the corkscrews turn. You'll see the smoke so black, sleep on that old smokestack.
It's floating right to heaven,
and it won't come back.
Now here and there you'll see your stool and chair, slipping round the cabin shouting, I don't care.
And then the hammocks start to swinging,
and the bell begins to ringing while he's sitting at that piano there on the Alabama, playing the Oceana roll.
That dear old roll.
So there they are, 10 musical nominations for the folk songs of tomorrow. Now I have an announcement to make, but first, Harlow Wilcox.
You spend a lot of time in your kitchen, don't you? And you like it to be not only convenient, but cheerful. I think a good many women would use Johnson's self-polishing glow coat on their linoleum floors if it did nothing but make them sparkle with cheerful beauty. You know, of course, that's only one of the things glow coat does for you. Think of the hours of labor it saves, because glow coat needs no rubbing or buffing. Think how it has done away with laborious and destructive floor scrubbing. And remember that glow coat actually makes linoleum last 6 to 10 times longer than if it were unprotected. In these days of conservation, that's a mighty important matter, don't you think? Try Johnson's glow coat on your linoleum floors, won't you? It's self-polishing.
Ladies and gentlemen, from every radio program, from every picture screen, wherever you go these days, you are hearing the voice of your nation calling out to you for aid. Turn 10% of your income into bonds, every week, every month. Whether it is hard for us or easy, 10% of our salary in war bonds means that we want our children to inherit a world worth living in. Time is up, so until with Meredith Wilson we join you again a week from tonight, this is John Nesbitt bidding a very good evening to you all.
This is Harlow Wilcox, speaking for the makers of Johnson Wax Finishes for the home and industry, inviting you to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night. This program has reached you from Hollywood. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
This is Chicago, WMAQ.